Chapter 1643. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Perhaps it was because it could not stand Pallas being in the limelight in front of Yuhauran, the void spirit mouse, who had been silent all this time, suddenly stood up and said, "Yuhauran, watch me next." Then, without giving Yuhauran any chance to respond, it flew directly to the location where the 4-colored and 5-colored void fruits had fallen. Boom! Just as the void spirit mouse left the poisonous fog, a deafening roar suddenly came from the void of the secret realm. Accompanied by the deafening roar, several cracks that were several meters long appeared on the void barrier at the entrance of the secret realm. Brother Chi, please continue to lock onto the exact location where the void fruits have fallen. I will go and prepare some special gifts for those people. Looking at the cracks on the void barrier, which could only withstand 2 fierce attacks at most before completely collapsing, Yuhauran suddenly thought of a formation that Thaling had mentioned before and taught to his second avatar. It was a formation that could strengthen the defense of the secret realm's barrier. If he wanted to obtain more void fruits, and to obtain more colorful ones, he would have to buy more time for the void spirit mouse and the scarlet load. Therefore, after reminding Pallas, Yuhauran sped up towards the void barrier at the entrance of the secret realm while instructing his second avatar in the Sea of Consciousness. Brother Ran immediately set up the golden light dipper formation in front of the cracks on the barrier of the secret realm to strengthen the defense of the secret realm's barrier. Got it. Ever since Yuhauran returned to the Blue Moon's secret realm, his first avatar had quietly left the Sea of Consciousness to collect the heaven and earth treasures in the secret realm. His second avatar had been thinking about how to use the formation to help his main body obtain more void fruit. Just as a few long cracks appeared on the barrier of the secret realm, he also thought of the golden light dipper formation taught by Thaling and had already made preparations in advance. Therefore, after hearing Yuhauran's instructions, his second avatar responded and 9 white formation flags immediately flew out of the Sea of Consciousness and were inserted around the cracked barrier of the secret realm. Immediately after, the second doppelganger activated the strongest defense of the golden light heavenly dipper formation by forming a seal with his 10 fingers. Brother Yu, some time ago, I studied the giant sword Sek's 1,000-sword devouring heart formation, and I just happened to gain some insights and gains. Why don't we test it out on the experts outside the secret realm? After successfully activating the defense of the golden light dipper formation, the second clone suggested with an expectant gaze. Brother Ran, I'll give you a chance. Set up all of the formations that you're proficient in and want to test, Yuhauran immediately suggested with a smile after hearing his clone's suggestion. Yuhauran was trying to stall for time. All right. After receiving Yuhauran's approval, the second clone cheered excitedly. Next, tens of array flags and swords flew out from his Sea of Wisdom to set up around the heavenly gold light astral array. In the valley where the entrance to the secret territory was located, 3 formation masters at the peak of the formation Great Grandmaster realm were sitting cross-legged on the open ground in a triangular position. In the middle of the 3 people, 9 formation flags and a sword with a scabbard were floating. Open! As the formation master in the northeast merged the seal formed by his 10 fingers into the scabbard and sword, the sword was forcibly pulled out of the scabbard by 1 centimeter. Immediately after, a terrifying and sharp sword chi erupted from the sword that was pulled out. When the sharp sword chi erupted and began to radiate in all directions, the 9 formation flags floating around the sword each shot out a ray of green light. The 9 rays of green light forcefully converged into the sharp sword chi and then bombarded a certain point in the valley. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening roar, a substantial crack immediately appeared in the barrier of the secret territory that was bombarded by the sharp sword chi. After seeing the crack in the barrier of the secret territory that was created by the formation and sword chi, Zhou Yu's, who was standing in front of the crowd, immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Then, he turned his head and spoke to a white-haired old man in a light purple robe, who gave off a gentle and refined temperament. Ancestor Lu Hao, it seems that Ancestor Feng Xiang's deduction was not wrong. This is indeed the entrance to the demon sealing secret territory. That's right. The space behind the spatial barrier is indeed the demon sealing secret territory. After hearing Zhou Yu's reminder, Zhou Lu Hao closed his eyes and carefully sensed the crack in the barrier of the secret territory that had been created by the formation and the sharp sword qi. 10 seconds later, when Zhou Lu Hao opened his eyes again, he also revealed a trace of joy and confirmed it with a further explanation. Moreover, judging from the fact that the crack in the barrier of the secret territory shows no signs of recovery, not only has the laws of the secret territory entered a period of complete weakness, but it should also be condensing the void fruit that can assist in comprehending the power of laws. After hearing Zhou Lu Hao's confirmation and further explanation, the several dozen martial saints, martial sovereigns, and Emperor Wu behind the two of them immediately became excited. Wonderful! Zhou Yu's, who was well aware of the effects of the void fruit on increasing the strength of the upper echelons of the clan, could not help but exclaim in excitement. However, when Zhou Lu Hao heard Zhou Yu's praise, he suddenly thought of the other mission in the demon sealing secret realm. The joy in his eyes gradually faded, and he asked Zhou Yu's with a grave expression, "What is it? Clan leader, have you really thought this through? Do you really plan to cooperate with them?" After hearing Zhou Lu Hao's grave question, Zhou Yu's immediately put away his excited expression and replied with a trace of helplessness in his tone. "Ancestor Lu Hao, according to my original intention and thoughts, I don't actually want to cooperate with them because of their cruel nature. However, after the plan to cooperate with the primordial god clan was ruined by Yu Haoran, it's too difficult to use the method of unifying the Tianxian continent and restoring the glory of the Middle Ages to our clan. After all, the 4 guardian clans, the Xia clan, the Zhongli clan, and the other forces that have not suffered too much damage are too powerful." After hearing Zhou Yu's helpless reply, Zhou Lu Hao could not help but frown and ask, "Clan leader, can you guarantee that they will willingly support us in unifying the Tianxian continent?" "Ancestor Lu Hao, to be honest, I can't guarantee that they will fully support our Zhou clan in unifying the Tianxian continent." As Zhou Yu shook his head in denial, a trace of madness gradually appeared in his eyes as he spoke. However, with their cruel and ruthless characters, as well as the tyrannical aura that has been produced from being suppressed for countless years, as long as they can break free from the seal of the demon sealing secret territory, they will definitely vent their anger through massacres. Then, as the guardians of the Tianxian continent, the 4 guardian clans will definitely come forward to resist. Chapter 1644. Outside the Blue Moon's secret realm, in the valley. Although Zhou Yu's plan was crazy, it was not impossible. Zhou Lu Hao's expression gradually eased, but there was still a trace of worry in his eyes as he asked, "Clan leader, what if they win in the end?" "Ancestor Lu Hao, even if they are very powerful, is the mysterious Zhongli clan, one of the 4 great guardian clans from ancient times, weak?" Zhou Yu asked with a sneer in response to Zhou Lu Hao's lingering worry. Then, he raised his head and looked in the direction of Xianyang City. His eyes revealed a trace of hatred as he continued. Moreover, according to Ancestor Feng Xiang's divination, using the divination technique passed down by his ancestors, the ancient god clan hidden in the ancient god testing grounds will descend upon the Tianxian continent again in 10 days or at most half a month. At that time, with their countless years of accumulated hatred, they will fight to the death when they see each other. Therefore, the greater the risk of the initial investment, the greater the final profit. You are the clan leader of the Zhou clan. Arrange everything according to your wishes. Zhou Yu had considered every step of the plan in great detail. While completely eliminating Zhou Lu Hao's worries, he finally chose to support this risky plan. Go. After the swift and fierce sword aura blasted several cracks in the barrier of the secret realm, the 3 formation masters at the peak of the Great Grandmaster realm paused for 3 minutes. Then, the second formation master in the southwest similarly roared as he inserted the seal formed by his 10 fingers into the scabbard and sword. Boom! Following the second formation master's roar, the sword that was forcefully pulled out by 1 centimeter exploded with an even more frightening and fierce sword aura. Under the guidance of the 9 formation flags, it accurately blasted into the cracks in the barrier of the secret realm. Under the bombardment of the frightening and fierce sword aura, although there were a few more cracks in the barrier of the secret realm and the cracks had also become slightly larger, there was a huge discrepancy with the outcome that they had predicted. Zhou Jingyuan, what's going on? Seeing that the second bombardment after the combination of the formation and sword aura was far less effective than the first, Zhou Yu's face immediately darkened as he asked. Ignoring Zhou Yu's question, Zhou Jingyuan got up and flew to the barrier of the secret realm. Then, he stretched out his hand and pressed on the crack of the barrier, carefully feeling and examining it. A minute later, Zhou Jingyuan quickly returned to his original position and replied to Zhou Yu's with a serious expression. Patriarch, there is a formation master in the mystic realm who is using a heaven-ranked formation to strengthen the defense of the mystic realm's barrier. I'm afraid that the plan of opening the mystic realm's passageway 3 times in advance can no longer be realized. What's his cultivation level in formations? Yu Haoran immediately appeared in Zhou Yu's mind when he heard Zhou Jingyuan's reply. He could not help but ask through gritted teeth. Far surpassing the 3 of us. Zhou Jingyuan, who had also guessed who the formation master who set up the defensive formation in the secret realm was, could not help but reply with a wry smile. Yu Haoran. Only Yu Haoran and Dongfang Huaiyun, who had advanced to Array Emperor in the realm of Array Dao, could surpass the Array Grandmaster peak in terms of Array Dao. Dongfang Huaiyun, who had just broken through to the Array Dao Array Emperor realm, was in seclusion to consolidate his realm after his breakthrough. At the same time, the Demon Sealing Mystic Realm was located in the south of the southern region, which was only tens of thousands of kilometers away from the prince's mansion in Xianyang City. Therefore, the formation master who used the formation to strengthen the defense of the mystic realm's barrier could only be Yu Haoran, who had a deep hatred for the Zhou family. Although he did not know how Yu Haoran had entered the demon-sealing mystic realm in advance, when he thought of the celestial slashing sword that the family had painstakingly collected, Zhou Mengling, who had been carefully nurtured, and the alliance plan with the primordial god clan that had been in progress for nearly 30 years, all of which had been forcibly destroyed by Yu Haoran, Zhou Yu's, who was instantly filled with boundless rage, could not help but roar at the sky. Patriarch, calm down. Seeing that Zhou Yu's had suddenly lost control of his emotions and began to emit a terrifying aura, Zhou Luhao immediately used his powerful strength to forcibly suppress the terrifying aura and sternly reprimanded him. Under Zhou Luming's stern reprimand, Zhou Yu's, who had quickly sobered up, took a deep breath and asked with a gloomy face. Zhou Jingyuan, can you break the defensive formation set up by Yu Haoran? Yes. Seeing the Patriarch's gloomy face, a trace of fear flashed through Zhou Jingyuan's heart and he immediately nodded. However, he did not dare to conceal anything and spoke of the time needed to break the defensive formation. However, it will take at least 10 minutes. Yes. According to the rules of the demon-sealing mystic realm, it was impossible for Yu Haoran to collect all of the void fruits within 10 minutes. Therefore, it was impossible for him to leave the demon-sealing mystic realm in advance. Therefore, when faced with the siege of the Zhou family's hundreds of martial saints, and Emperor Wu, they would definitely be able to successfully kill Yu Haoran in the demon-sealing mystic realm. Therefore, Zhou Yu's, whose anger was quickly replaced by excitement, regained his calm expression and nodded in agreement. Brother Zhengfang, Brother Jifang, directly use the Forbidden Formation flag and activate the full power of the Celestial Trapping Sword. Strive to completely destroy the barrier of the mystic realm within 10 minutes and open up a safe passage into the mystic realm. After receiving Zhou Yu's agreement, Zhou Jingyuan immediately took out a blood-red formation flag and instructed the other two formation masters. We will follow Brother Yuan Li's instructions. The two formation masters immediately took out an identical red formation flag. Subsequently, the three of them used the red flag formation to replace the 9 formation flags floating around the celestial trapping sword and continued to use the formation to increase the power of the celestial trapping sword's sword chi. In the Blue Moon Mystic Realm, after the second clone had set up 9 offensive formations in one breath, Yuhaoran once again returned to the poisonous lake and raised his head to look at the 9 colored clouds gathering in the void of the mystic realm. At this moment, 27 7-colored void fruits had just been ejected from the 9-colored clouds. Coincidentally, 2 of the 7-colored void fruits were rapidly falling in the direction of the red rocks where the poisonous lake was located. Boom! Boom! Accompanied by 2 intense sounds of collision, the 2 7-colored void fruits fell at the north and south ends of the red rock. Yuhaoran and Pallas glanced at each other, then immediately rose into the air without any hesitation. They quickly rushed out of the poisonous fog and headed straight for the location where the 2 7-colored void fruits had fallen. The red rocks were not very large. With the assistance of the law of speed, Yuhaoran appeared at the southern end of the red rocks in the blink of an eye. With a slight sweep of his divine sense, he successfully found the 7-colored void fruit that had fallen on a red rock. Chapter 1645. In the Blue Moon's secret realm. Although it had fallen from the void tens of thousands of meters above the secret realm, not only was the rainbow void fruit undamaged, but the red rocks on which the void fruit had landed were also undamaged. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple. Looking at the 7 colors of the 7-colored hollow fruit, Yuhaoran flashed and appeared on the red rock. When he reached out to take the fruit, 5 red shadows suddenly appeared and attacked several vital parts of his body like a gust of wind. Boom! Ignoring the sneak attack, Yuhaoran excitedly put the 7-colored hollow fruit into the jade box. His body shook slightly and the 5 red shadows that attacked him were sent flying. Bang! Looking at the blood scorpion, blood snake, 1,000-legged blood centipede, blood-colored toad and 8-legged blood spider that were sent flying by his powerful body, Yuhaoran's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Because the 5 poisonous creatures that attacked him this time not only far exceeded the limit of the secret realm's rules, they were all at the peak of the first level of the king realm. Moreover, the poison contained in each poisonous creature's body was far superior to that of the peak of the 9th level of the saint realm in the outside world. Whoosh! Although he wanted to carefully examine why the poison of these 5 poisonous creatures was so strong, the sound of objects flying through the void of the secret realm above his head made him quickly put away the 5 poisonous creatures. He looked up at the 18 8-colored hollow fruits that were ejected from the 9-colored cloud. He was not as lucky as he was when he got the 7-colored hollow fruit. None of the 18 8-colored hollow fruits fell toward the red rock. After a look of disappointment flashed in his eyes, Yuhaoran flew back to the poisonous lake in the poisonous fog. The scarlet loath had already returned 1 step ahead of him and used its divine sense to track the specific location of the 3 8-colored void fruit. Looking up at the 9-colored clouds that were getting thicker and thicker in the void of the secret realm, Yuhaoran and Pallas could not help but feel nervous. Whoosh! With 9 more intense sounds, even though Yuhaoran knew that it was difficult for his divine thoughts to track the 9 9-colored hollow fruits that were ejected from the 9-colored clouds, he did not give up. He mobilized all his divine thoughts and desperately chased after one of the 9-colored hollow fruit. Although he did not catch up to the exact location where the 9-colored hollow fruit finally fell, he locked the approximate location. The area that he searched was not more than 50 miles. For Yuhaoran, who had just reached the realm of Emperor Wu, The range of 50 miles was basically in advance. Boom! Just as all 9 colored void fruits fell to different locations in the secret realm, a deafening rumble came from the void barrier of the secret realm. Yuhauran immediately turned his head to look at the barrier of the secret realm. His expression changed as he asked his clone in his sea of consciousness, "What's going on? Brother Ran, didn't you say that the heaven-level golden light Tiangang formation could delay the opponent's attack for 30 minutes? Brother Yu, it seems that the opponent not only used the combination of formation and celestial device to attack the secret realm's void barrier, but the celestial device used just now is probably a top divine weapon that is not inferior to the immortal eliminating sword." After hearing the second avatar's explanation, especially the mention of a top divine weapon that was not inferior to the immortal eliminating sword, Yuhauran immediately thought of Zhou Yu's, the patriarch of the Zhou clan. Then, he quickly turned to Pallas and asked, "Brother Qi, if you use your third eye that can see through all illusions, can you see the appearance of the group of experts at the entrance of the secret realm?" "Yes." Pallas nodded and replied. "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Qi to use your method that can see through all illusions and describe the characteristics of the group of people to me in detail." Yuhauran hurriedly said, "No problem." While nodding in agreement, Pallas directly used his divine thoughts to project the scene in the valley. "It really is him." After seeing the middle-aged man in purple standing at the front of the group in the valley that Pallas used his divine thoughts to project, Yuhauran's eyes flashed with a cold light. However, when he saw the ancient scabbard floating in the air and the sword that had been pulled out by 5 centimeters, he couldn't help but cry out involuntarily. "The divine sword of the 4 immortal slaying swords. Brother Yu, that's the immortal trapping sword of the 4 immortal slaying swords." Compared to Yuhauran's extremely shocked expression when he saw the sword and scabbard floating in the air, Pallas, who had long seen through the origin of the sword and scabbard, reminded him calmly, "Brother Qi, do you know the origin of the 4 immortal slaying swords?" Faced with the immortal trapping sword that could kill a peak 9th grade martial god, Pallas's overly calm reminder confused Yuhauran and he could not help but ask directly. "Of course I know." Nodding, Pallas said with a trace of hatred in his eyes. The 4 immortal slaying swords were the natal swords of the supreme martial god in the Middle Ages. They were formed by the immortal slaying sword, the immortal killing sword, the immortal trapping sword, and the immortal ending sword. When the 4 swords are combined into one, they are not inferior to a supreme martial artifact of the innate cardinal treasure level. Individually, they are not inferior to a supreme martial artifact of the innate spiritual treasure level. Moreover, they have the terrifying power to kill a peak 9th grade martial god. Brother Qi, since you know the origin and power of the 4 immortal slaying swords very well, why are you so calm when facing the immortal trapping sword of the 4 immortal slaying swords? Pallas' explanation made Yuhauran even more difficult to accept. "Brother Yu, because I have the immortal killing sword that is not inferior to the immortal trapping sword in terms of grade and power. In fact, it is slightly stronger than the immortal trapping sword in terms of offensive power." Faced with Yuhauran's questioning, Pallas's eyes were filled with even more hatred. While replying, he took out a sword that also had a simple and strong scabbard. Looking at the immortal killing sword in Pallas's hand, Yuhauran's face suddenly darkened. This was because when he was refining the 2nd grade 9th grade Qian Yuan bone-changing pill some time ago, Zhongli Shuiqin had wanted to use some top treasures to exchange for 3 sea-suppressing divine pearls. As the 6 sea-suppressing divine pearls had already been taken away by Thaling, although the final trade was not completed, Zhongli Shuiqin, whose understanding of the secrets of heaven and earth was not inferior to Thaling, gave him a detailed explanation of the meaning of some special artifacts. When the 4 immortal slaying swords were unleashed, heaven and earth would slaughter, all living things would bleed, and immeasurable calamities would be formed. This was the meaning of the natal swords of the supreme martial god. The immortal slaying sword of the 4 immortal slaying swords was in the hands of the heaven-punishing devil emperor, the immortal ending sword was in Thaling's hands, the immortal trapping sword was in Zhou Yu's hands, and the immortal killing sword was in Pallas's hands. Chapter 1646. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Seeing that he had taken out the immortal culling sword of the 4 fairy slaying swords, Yuhauran was not shocked at all. Instead, his face instantly became gloomy. This made Pallas feel quite puzzled. "Brother Yu, are you okay?" Taking a deep breath and forcibly dispelling the irritation in his heart, Yuhauran forced a smile and shook his head to indicate that he was fine. Then, he turned his head to look at the crack of the void barrier of the secret realm again, and reminded Pallas. "Brother Qi, since the other party used the immortal trapping sword of the 4 fairy slaying swords to attack the barrier of the secret realm, then the defensive formation I just set up can only last for about 10 minutes at most. So, you and I need to hurry up and collect the 7-color, 8-color, and 9-color void fruits, and then deal with the group of experts with the immortal trapping sword with all our strength." "Okay." While nodding in agreement, Pallas directly put away the immortal culling sword in his hand, then rose into the air, and went straight to the 2 9-color and 3 8-color void fruits that he had already locked on with his divine thought. At the same time, Yuhauran also immediately rose into the air, and left the poisonous fog. He also accelerated toward the dense forest where his divine thought predicted that the 9-color void fruit would fall in advance. "Brother Yu, just now when I was looking for the 3rd-rank 9th-grade 1000 search grass, I accidentally obtained 2 7-color and 1 8-color void fruit." Just as Yuhauran accelerated toward the dense forest where the 9-color void fruit fell, the first clone suddenly used the method of mind connection to send a message. "Moreover, 200 miles away from my location, there seems to be an 8-color and a 9-color void fruit. Brother Hao, there are less than 10 minutes before the Zhou family breaks through the barrier of the secret realm. During this time, you temporarily ignore the treasures in the secret realm and focus on collecting the void fruits of various colors." Hearing the good news from the first clone, Yuhauran, who finally dispelled some of the irritation and heavy pressure in his heart, immediately ordered in joy. "Okay, I got it." The first clone immediately agreed. Using the extreme speed, Yuhauran only spent less than a minute to arrive at the dense forest where the 9-color void fruit fell. Without the slightest hesitation, he mobilized all his divine thought and directly scanned the entire dense forest. But the result was nothing. Believing that his divine thought tracking would not be wrong, then the 9-color void fruit that fell in the dense forest could only be taken away by the strange beasts in advance, or it could be said that it was swallowed. Since the void fruit was a spirit fruit used to assist in comprehending the power of laws, only beings in the martial saint realm and above could refine it. Therefore, even if it was swallowed by low-level exotic beasts, there wouldn't be any accident. Therefore, Yuhauran did not panic and began to mobilize his divine thought and began to search for strange beasts that were active beasts in the dense forest. Using the power of the law of flash, Yuhauran instantly appeared in front of the wolf, then used his terrifying aura to directly kill it. After that, Yuhauran cut open the wolf's stomach and took out the 9-color void fruit that it had just swallowed. Just as he took out the 9-color void fruit from the wolf's stomach, a black feather that fell out immediately caught his attention. After putting away the 9-color void fruit, he used Yuan Qi to wrap the black feather, then carefully observed it in front of his eyes. Then, he risked using his divine thought to check the remaining trace of energy in the black feather. In the end, he muttered to himself with a grave expression. "When I participated in the trial of the Blue Moon's secret realm, both the enchanted beast and the palace had unintentionally revealed that the true origin of the Blue Moon's secret realm was called the Demon Sealing Secret Realm. The demon sealing secret realm could be used to seal the top demon cultivators, then it could also be used to seal one of the overlords of ancient times, the demon clan. Glancing at the black feather in his hand, then looking up at the crack in the secret realm's barrier that was getting bigger and bigger, Howren's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. With the powerful restrictions set by the secret realm's rules, even the gifted palace, who has the strength of Emperor Wu, would not dare to easily break through to the 7th rank of the Zhong realm. Then, if the Zhou clan wants to fight for the Void Fruit, they would not need to risk using experts of the Martial Saint, Martial Honor, and Emperor Wu realm. If that's the case, Zhou Yu's, who failed in his plan to form an alliance with the ancient God clan, is probably thinking of forming an alliance with the ancient demon clan. Thinking of the phalanx introduction of the ancient God clan and the demon clan, and thinking of the endless slaughter that the ancient demon clan could bring to the Tianxian continent, Howren's hatred for the Zhou clan and Zhou Yu's was no less than that of the Lun clan and Cold Cloud, who killed Lin Mengyao. However, regardless of whether it was to kill the experts of the Zhou clan or to destroy Zhou Yu's plan to release the sealed ancient demon clan, it was not as important as finding more void fruits. Therefore, after keeping the black feather in his hand into a storage ring, Howren rose into the air and left the dense forest. Then, according to the precise location of the 4-colored, 5-colored, 6-colored, and 7-colored void fruits that Palace had provided, he began to search for and collect them with all his might. At the entrance of the Blue Moon's secret realm, in the valley, Clan Leader, we only need one last attack, and we will be able to completely open the passage into the demon sealing secret realm. Zhou Jingyuan, whose face was abnormally pale, reminded him with a hint of excitement after swallowing a pill that was used to recover his strength. Very good. The time taken to open the passage into the secret realm was 1 minute earlier than expected. This made Zhou Yu's very satisfied and praised. Then, he turned around and gave orders to the hundreds of clan members in front of him. Due to the restrictions of the rules of the demon sealing secret realm, all the strange beasts in the secret realm are unable to successfully advance to the 7th rank. This way, you don't have to worry about the void fruits being eaten by the strange beasts in the secret realm. Therefore, after entering the demon sealing secret realm, I want you to immediately search for Howren's whereabouts. You must kill him in the demon sealing secret realm. Yes, clan leader. Other than the 6 powerful experts of the Emperor Wu realm, the remaining 100 or so martial sages and martial honorables realm experts immediately responded to the order. Jingyuan, let's begin. Zhou Yu's turned around and instructed Zhou Jingyuan. Brother Zhengfang, Brother Jifang, activate the Forbidden Formation flag and the Celestial Trapping Sword to the strongest power at the same time. Use all your strength to break through the barrier of the secret realm and completely open the passage into the demon sealing secret realm. Zhou Jingyuan, who had recovered a portion of his origin energy and soul power after swallowing the pill, continued to condense the imprint and instructed the other 2 formation masters. Chapter 1647. At the entrance of the Blue Moon's secret realm, in the valley, after the seals formed by the 3 formation masters were integrated into the celestial trapping sword through the 3 blood-red formation flags, the sword that had been pulled out by more than 20 centimeters instantly left the scabbard. Then, the celestial trapping sword exploded with a terrifying sword aura and directly blasted the crack in the secret realm's barrier. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening roar, the crack in the barrier, which was already in danger, was directly shattered. Then, a pure and rich spiritual energy emerged from the barrier passage that had been blasted open. Let's go! Through the barrier passage that had been blasted open, the people present could not only feel the pure spiritual energy that emerged from the secret realm, but they could also vaguely see the scenery in the secret realm. Therefore, Zhou Yu's, who was 100% sure that the passage had been opened, immediately waved his hand at the clan members behind him and excitedly ordered. Other than Zhou Yu's, 6 powerful experts of the Emperor Wu realm, and 3 formation masters who were recovering their strength with the help of elixirs. A total of 117 martial sages and martial honorables experts rushed into the secret realm passage with excited expressions. Boom! Ah! Just as the dozens of martial sages and martial honorables rushed into the secret realm passage, a deafening explosion came from the end of the secret realm passage, as well as incomparably miserable howls. Zhou Yu's, whose expression changed slightly, immediately ordered the 2 early-stage rank 1 powerful experts of the Emperor Wu realm behind him. Qingxing, Qingmin, immediately enter the secret realm passage and see what's happening at the end of the secret realm passage. Although a hint of reluctance flashed in their eyes, Zhou Qingxing and Zhou Qingmin did not dare to disobey Zhou Yu's firm order and quickly rushed into the secret realm passage. Then, as more violent roars came from the end of the secret realm passage, Zhou Qingxing's voice also came. Clan leader, Yu Haoran has set up more than 10 offensive formations at the end of the secret realm passage. Now, 7 martial honorables and 27 martial sages have already died. After hearing Zhou Qingxing's narration from the end of the secret realm passage, Zhou Yu's could not help but roar into the sky with bloodshot eyes. Yu Haoran, I Zhou Yu's, and the Zhou clan's hatred for you is irreconcilable. Patriarch, let me go. Although he had only recovered less than 30% of his strength, in the face of the offensive array set up by Yu Haoran, the array emperor, only he, who had the strongest cultivation in array formations, would be able to save the lives of his clansmen and speed up the removal of the offensive array. Therefore, Zhou Jingyuan immediately stood up and volunteered to fight. No! Zhou Yu's immediately shook his head and refused Zhou Jingyuan's request. Jingyuan, you and the 2 patriarchs are the key to our next plan, so anything can happen to any of us except you and the 2 patriarchs. At this point, Zhou Yu's turned around and instructed the other 2 Emperor Wu middle rank 1 mighty powers. Dao Wu, Jiwei, go and help Qing Sheng and Qing Min break the offensive array at the end of the tunnel. Yes, Patriarch. Zhou Daowu and Zhou Jiwei immediately rushed into the passage of the secret realm. In the Blue Moon's secret realm, after nearly 10 minutes of searching, Yu Haoran obtained a total of 19 4-colored void fruits, 11 5-colored void fruits, 8 6-colored void fruits, 3 7-colored void fruits, and 1 8-colored void fruit. As for the 9-colored void fruits, he had not found a single 9-colored void fruit because they had fallen too far from each other. Fortunately, he had already obtained a 9-colored void fruit in advance, and his first doppelganger had also successfully found another 9-colored void fruit. Yu Haoran was not too disappointed. According to Palace's divine thoughts, he had located the location where the void fruit had fallen. On the mountain peak that was about a few thousand meters high, there seemed to be a 7-colored void fruit. Therefore, Yu Haoran directly soared into the sky and went straight to the peak. He then used his divine sense to search every corner of the mountain. Boom! Ah! Just as his divine thoughts had locked onto a 7-colored void fruit at the mountainside, the entire secret realm suddenly resounded with a deafening roar and extremely painful howl. Immediately looking up in the direction of the secret realm's barrier, Yu Haoran discovered that more than 10 arrays set up by his first doppelganger had been activated at the same time. After observing for nearly 10 seconds, apart from louder booms and more miserable howls, not a single one of the dozen or so offensive formations had been broken. This made Yu Haoran sigh from the bottom of his heart at the second doppelganger's powerful cultivation of arrays. At the same time, he could not help but want to know how long the arrays could last. Brother Ran, how long can the arrays last? If the 2 Emperor Wu, who are at the peak of level 3, don't attack and don't use the immortal trapping sword, they should be able to last for about 10 minutes. Looking through the sea of consciousness space at the activated arrays, the second doppelganger carefully observed for a while and then gave 2 different answers. If the Emperor Wu, who is at the peak of level 3, cooperates with the immortal trapping sword, they can only last for 1 to 2 minutes at most. After hearing the second doppelganger's answer, Yuhauran did not think much at all. He directly turned around and continued to enter the secret realm to search for the void fruit. This was because Zhou Yu's had spent so much effort to open the passage to the secret realm. His purpose was not to fight for the void fruit, but to break the seal placed on the ancient demons by the secret realm. Then, in order to have the strength to talk to the ancient demons, and also to be able to protect himself in front of the ancient demons, he would definitely not let the Emperor Wu, who was at the peak of level 3, waste their strength in advance, nor would he expose his trump card, the immortal trapping sword, in advance. Therefore, with Zhou Yu's character, in the end, he would definitely use the lives of the Zhou family's martial sages and martial venerables to break the arrays. After Zhou Daowu and Zhou Jiwei entered the passage to the secret realm, although there were no more screams coming from the end of the passage, through the continuous roars, Zhou Yu knew that it would be difficult to completely break the arrays that Yuhauran had set up in advance in a short time. Turning his head to look at the two great ancestors of Emperor Wu, who were at the peak of level 3, and then at Zhou Jingyuan and the other two who had recovered their strength with the help of elixirs, a trace of hesitation flashed in Zhou Yu's eyes. If he wanted to speed up the cracking of the arrays, he would have to let the great ancestors of Emperor Wu, who were at the peak of level 3, take action, or let the 3 who were proficient in arrays take action. However, it was as Yuhauran had guessed. The peak rank 3 martial emperor ancestor, Zhou Jingyuan and the other two were the key to facing the ancient era's demon clan. They absolutely could not afford any mishaps. Chapter 1648. Inside the valley at the entrance of the Blue Moon's secret realm. 13 minutes. After continuously attacking for 13 minutes, they had lost a total of 47 martial saint and martial venerable corpses, as well as the 2 Emperor Wu almighty experts, Zhou Qingxing and Zhou Qingmin, who were heavily injured. In the end, they succeeded in breaking through more than 10 offensive formations at the end of the passageway. After Zhou Daowu and Zhou Jiwei had repeatedly confirmed their safety, Zhou Yu brought the 2 Emperor Wu peak grade 3 old ancestors, as well as Zhou Jingyuan and the other 2 great masters who were at the peak of the formation realm into the Blue Moon's secret realm. Keep a distance of 100 miles from each other, then use a secret technique to form a divine consciousness heavenly net and drag Yuhauran out. Looking at the 47 corpses on the ground of the secret realm, as well as Zhou Qingxing and Zhou Qingmin who were sitting cross-legged to heal their wounds, Zhou Yu, who was emitting a fierce murderous aura, ordered through gritted teeth. Clan leader Zhou, there's no need to go through so much trouble. I, Yuhauran, will be waiting for you here. Just as Zhou Yu's voice fell, Yuhauran's provocative voice immediately rang in his ears. The Red Rocks were less than 1,000 miles away from the entrance of the secret realm. With Zhou Yu's and the rest's cultivation and strength, they only needed a light sweep of their divine consciousness to discover Yuhauran, who was standing in front of the poisonous fog and lake. When enemies meet, their eyes blaze with hatred. After discovering Yuhauran 1,000 miles away with their divine consciousness, Zhou Yu immediately ordered the remaining 68 martial saints and martial venerables of the Zhou clan. Capture Yuhauran alive immediately. I want him to know what it means to live a life worse than death. Watching their loved ones die one after another under the attacks of the formation without any ability to save them, the remaining 68 experts of the Zhou clan were filled with guilt and self-blame. The main culprit of this guilt and self-blame was Yuhauran, who had set up the offensive formation at the end of the passageway of the secret realm. Therefore, when they heard Zhou Yu's command, the 68 Zhou family experts were instantly filled with boundless fury. They immediately charged towards the Red Rocks with murderous intent, charging towards Yuhauran who was standing at the edge of the poison lake. Yuhauran could not help but be stunned when he saw that the 4 Emperor Wu Almighties standing behind Zhou Yu's did not make a move. Back then, after the Five Regions Hidden Dragon ranking battle, when he was besieged by the Shang clan and Zhou clan's three tribulations almighty Emperor Wu, he had already displayed strength that was not inferior to that of a newly advanced Emperor Wu. Then, why didn't Zhou Yu's order the Emperor Wu behind him to attack? Could it be that these 68 martial saints and martial revered realm experts were proficient in a joint attack technique that could increase their strength? However, with his rich combat experience, he was only stunned for a moment before he quickly entered battle mode. Twin dragons playing with a pearl. When he activated the Ancestral Witch's physical strength and directly used the Ancestral Witch's inherited palm technique, Yu Haoran suddenly thought of using the Poison Lake's water to mix into his palm technique. He wanted to see if he could use the Poison Lake's water to increase the strength of his palm technique. Because of the large amount of Poison Lake's water, the giant purple dragons that should have been formed by the palm technique turned into two giant black dragons that were 1,000 meters long. Just when the 68 Zhou family experts were less than 100 meters away from the two giant black dragons, the temporary battle awareness that the palm technique gave them caused the two giant black dragons to open their huge mouths and spit out two streams of black Poison Lake's water. Faced with the torrential Black Lake's water, the 68 Zhou family experts instinctively used their origin power and soul power to form a defensive barrier. However, what they didn't know was that even Yu Haoran, who had the body of the Ancestral Witch and was proficient in poison, didn't dare to casually touch the Poison Lake's water. This was enough to show how powerful the Poison Lake's water was. Therefore, the moment the lake's water landed on the defensive barrier, it immediately turned into small black snakes. After quickly corroding the barrier formed by origin power and soul power, the water directly merged into their bodies. Ah! After the small black snakes merged into their bodies, the martial saints didn't even have time to scream before they completely turned into puddles of black water. Although the martial revered realm experts lasted a little longer, they could only scream a few times in the end before they were also corroded by the small black snakes and turned into puddles of black water. 37 martial saints and 31 martial revered realm experts were all turned into puddles of black water that emitted a fishy smell in the short span of 3 seconds. Seeing the 68 experts that the family had carefully nurtured being completely wiped out in the blink of an eye, Zhou Yu's and the others' eyes were filled with shock and fear, as well as an impulse to immediately turn around and leave. Palace, who was hidden in the poisonous fog, also had a look of shock in his eyes. Although he was very clear about the terrifying power of the Poison Lake's water, he didn't expect Yu Haoran to be able to merge the Poison Lake's water into his palm technique, and finally make the palm technique's power reach that of Emperor Wu's peak 3rd grade. Family leader Zhou, what happened just now was just a small greeting gift from your junior. It's not enough to show my respect. I hope you can kindly accept it. Yu Haoran, who knew more about the terrifying power of the Poison Lake's water than Palace, continued to provoke Zhou Yu's, not at all surprised by the power of the palm technique that had merged with the Blood Lake's water. In the face of Yu Haoran's provocation, Zhou Yu's couldn't wait to pull out the celestial trapping sword in his hand and cut him into countless pieces. However, the puddles of black water that fell onto the red rocks reminded him of how terrifying Yu Haoran was, as he was able to use the Poison Lake's water. In the end, he forcibly suppressed the urge to attack in his heart. Yu Haoran, if you have the guts, do you dare to fight me in the void? Zhou Yu's clearly saw Yu Haoran's action of extracting the Poison Lake's water when he used his palm technique, so after suppressing the urge in his heart, he immediately thought of a way to deal with Yu Haoran. Zhou Yu's, if you have the guts, do you dare to fight me in front of the lake? Even a peerless expert at the peak of the 9th grade martial honored realm could not resist the power of the Poison Lake's water. How could Yu Haoran give up such a powerful support method in front of him for nothing? Moreover, Zhou Yu's had the celestial trapping sword in his hand, and 2 powerful experts at the peak of the 3rd grade Emperor Wu behind him. Therefore, Yu Haoran's eyes revealed a trace of contempt, and he used the same tone and words to counterattack. You! In the face of Yu Haoran's counterattack using the same tone and words, Zhou Yu's was so angry that he was speechless. Family leader, don't continue to be entangled with Yu Haoran. Let's immediately go and find the location where the ancient demons are sealed. Just as Zhou Yu's was about to be enraged, Zhou Luhao, who was behind him, immediately used his divine thoughts to remind him. Chapter 1649. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. After hearing Zhou Luhao's reminder, Zhou Yu took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the intense hatred in his heart. He glared fiercely at Yu Haoran. Then, he took out a dark gray copper coin from his sleeve. The moment the copper coin was taken out, it immediately left Zhou Yu's hand and went straight into the depths of the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Let's go! Zhou Yu gestured to the 9 people behind him. He immediately burst out with extreme speed and quickly followed the copper coin into the depths of the secret realm. Why did they all leave? Seeing Zhou Yu and the others rushing into the depths of the secret realm, Pallas walked out of the poisonous fog and asked with eyes full of doubt and regret. After all, he relied on his strong physical body to hide in the poisonous fog in advance. Other than wanting to sneak attack the 2/3 grade peak almighties of the Zhou family, he also wanted to seize the opportunity to seize the celestial trapping sword in Zhou Yu's hands. Because of his special experience, he was very clear about the heaven-defying power of the celestial slaying sword that combined 4 swords into one. They are planning to release a group of demons that kill without batting an eyelid. A group of monsters that can bring endless disaster to the Tianxian continent. Yu Haoran took out the dark green gourd that he had obtained in the Blue Moon's secret realm. After pouring out all the spiritual liquid in the gourd, Yu Haoran gritted his teeth as he explained to the Scarlet Loath while extracting the lake water from the poison lake. Brother Yu, you already know. When he heard Yu Haoran mention the demons that kill without batting an eyelid, Pallas's eyes flashed with a trace of shock. But when he thought of the senior hidden in his sea of consciousness, his expression instantly returned to calmness. Nodding, Yu Haoran continued to speed up the absorption of the lake water, striving to be able to stop Zhou Yu's and the others' plan to break the seal as soon as possible. However, when he thought of the 2/3 grade peak almighties of the Emperor Wu, the terrifying power of the celestial trapping sword in Zhou Yu's hands, and the fact that he still needed the help of Pallas, who also had the celestial culling sword, he sincerely requested. Brother Qi, the ancient devil clan is brutal by nature, and they take pleasure in slaughtering living beings. If they break free from the seal of the devil's sealing secret realm, they will certainly bring endless disasters to the profound sky continent. Therefore I, Yu Haoran, plead Brother Qi to lend me a hand and stop those people from removing the seal. Facing Yu Haoran's sincere request, Pallas put away the immortal slaughtering sword and asked with a wry smile. Brother Yu, have you always been wondering why I can have the strength of Emperor Wu when I'm only at the peak of the 9th rank of the 8th rank? That's right. Yu Haoran nodded. That's because more than 100 years ago, I once entered the sealed cave mansion of the ancient demon deity, and then Pallas's eyes flashed with joy and fear as he recounted what had happened between him and the ancient demon clan. In fact, as early as more than 100 years ago, there had been a problem with the formation and spell that sealed the ancient demon deity. Although the experts of the ancient demon clan were temporarily unable to leave the sealed cave mansion, the powerful experts of the ancient demon clan at the level of Emperor Wu could use their divine thoughts to control and guide the strange beasts in the secret realm. They could enter the cave mansion through the flaws of the formation and spell, and then they would either be eaten directly or tortured to death. The Scarlet Loathe beast was also lured into the sealed cavern through this method. Perhaps it was because Pallas had the violent bloodline of Zhuyan in his body, which was very similar to the bloodthirsty character of the ancient demon clan. Or perhaps it was because Pallas's perseverance and tenacity were too strong. After luckily escaping the fate of being eaten, Pallas relied on his tenacious perseverance to endure hundreds of inhumane tortures. Taking advantage of an internal strife of the ancient demon clan, he successfully escaped from the cave mansion. It was precisely because the Scarlet Loath had experienced hundreds of cruel tortures from the ancient demon clan that its physical body and mental state had undergone countless transformations, allowing it to truly possess the ability to continuously improve its strength without the need to raise its grade. It was also because he was imprisoned for more than 10 years that he secretly learned many secret techniques of the ancient demon clan and learned many secrets of the ancient demon clan. It allowed him to know how to damage and destroy the rules of the secret realm and become the true overlord of the demon's sealing secret realm. Brother Yu, after the fight for the Fruit of the Void ended, the reason why I immediately brought Brother Du Yuan out of the demon's sealing secret realm was not only because the rules of the secret realm would be restored to their peak state, but also because the formation and spell that sealed the ancient demon clan's cave mansion would be completely ineffective. Speaking of this, Pallas's eyes revealed a trace of fear. Therefore, whether or not we had the help of that group of people, the ancient demon clan's reappearance was unavoidable. AI. After hearing Pallas's description of the ancient demon clan and the cave mansion's seal, Yu Haoran couldn't help but sigh. It wasn't that he didn't want to do his best to prevent the ancient demon clan's reappearance, but it was too late. Brother Yu, while those 9 people are removing the cave mansion's seal, you and I should quickly collect the remaining Fruit of the Void and leave the demon's sealing secret realm. After more than 10 years of inhumane torture, Pallas had an instinctive fear of the ancient demon clan. Therefore, before he had the ability to protect himself, he didn't want to have any conflicts with the ancient demon clan. Brother Qi, according to your understanding of the ancient demon god's cave mansion seal, how long will it take for them to truly reappear? Pallas's fearful reminder was exactly what Yu Haoran was thinking. However, the Fruit of the Void had fallen in too many places. It was impossible to collect them all in a short time. Therefore, he needed to know how long he could remain in the demon's sealing secret realm. 3 days. Pallas said gravely as he raised his head to look at the clear sky of the secret realm. Brother Yu, in 3 days, the secret realm's laws will pass through their weakened state and officially enter the peak of the supremacy stage. At that time, the entire demon sealing secret realm's environment and terrain will drastically change. This will cause the formation and talismans that seal the ancient demon god's cave mansion to completely lose their effectiveness. Therefore, we must leave the demon sealing secret realm in 3 days. Otherwise, we'll have to face tens of thousands of martial sovereigns, Emperor Wu, and martial gods of the ancient demon clan. Faced with the laws of the secret realm that possess the strength of a supremacy stage expert, we'll die. Considering that Zhou Yu's, who possessed the immortal trapping sword, could very likely accelerate the rate at which the formation and talismans were losing their effectiveness, Yu Haoran decided to reduce the time they spent searching for the Fruit of the Void by 1 day to avoid unpredictable changes and dangers. Chapter 1650. Inside the Demon Sealing Secret Realm. Since Zhou Yu's was leading the 9 powerhouses of the Zhou family to lift the ancient demon god's seal, he would not have time to compete for the Void Fruit for the time being. Therefore, after discussing the exact time to leave the demon sealing secret realm with the Scarlet Loath, and after leaving the poisonous fog and poisonous lake, the second clone also quietly left the knowledge sea space and joined the search for the Void Fruit. According to the detailed information provided by Pallas regarding the location of the 4-colored, 5-colored, 6-colored, and 7-colored Void Fruit, after a short meeting with the Void Spirit Mouse, he decided to split into 4 groups to search for the Void Fruit. As for the 8-colored and 9-colored Void Fruit, not only could he not use his divine sense to accurately lock onto them, but there were also not many 9-colored clouds, and the areas where they fell were too scattered, so he could only rely on luck to find them. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Yu Haoran, who was the first to return to the poisonous fog lake, used the method of merging his main body and his clones to call back the 2 clones that were deep in the southwest of the secret realm, and then began to count the void fruits obtained by the 2 clones. Just after he finished counting the void fruits obtained by the 2 clones, the void spirit mouse, who had been searching the east of the secret realm, also returned to the poisonous fog lake. When he received the storage ring thrown by the void spirit mouse and checked the number of void fruits in the storage space, the smile on Howren's face became even brighter. There were only 9 colored void fruits ejected by the 9 colored clouds. In addition to the one he obtained by using his divine sense to track the approximate area where the void fruit fell, his first clone had also obtained one by chance. The void spirit mouse, with its special treasure hunting ability, obtained a total of 4 9-colored void fruits, which brought the total number of 9-colored void fruits he obtained to 6. 6 9-colored void fruits could not only satisfy his own comprehension of the power of law, but also Qin Lingfei, the sword without trace, Yusiki, Wu Jingjun, and Lu Yuan could also obtain one each. There were only 18 8-colored void fruits ejected by the 9-colored clouds. Although he didn't use his divine telekinesis to track them down, he was able to use his powerful divine telekinesis to scan the area and a bit of luck to obtain 4 8-colored void fruit. The first clone had also obtained 2 8-colored void fruits by chance. The second clone, on the other hand, was unlucky and didn't obtain a single one. However, the void spirit mouse had managed to find 7 8-colored void fruits with its unique treasure-seeking abilities, bringing the total number of 8-colored void fruits he had obtained to 13. There were a total of 27 7-colored void fruits shot out from the 9-colored cloud. Similarly, without being tracked or locked down by divine sense, he and his 2 doppelgangers relied on their divine sense and luck to obtain 9 void fruits in total. The void spirit mouse also used its heaven-defying treasure-seeking abilities to obtain 13 7-colored void fruits, bringing his total to 21 7-colored void fruit. As for the 6-color, 5-color, and 4-color void fruits, there were no void spirit mice that specifically searched for them, so they didn't harvest many of them. Among them, there were 7 6-color void fruits, 4 5-color void fruits, and only 1 4-color void fruit. However, the 6-color, 5-color, and 4-color void fruits he and his 2 doppelgangers obtained were quite astonishing. Among them, there were 18 6-color void fruits, 23 5-color void fruits, and 38 4-color void fruits. Although the void spirit mouse's harvest from the 6-color, 5-color, and 4-color void fruits were relatively small, it had collected all 8 single-color void fruits, namely orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, white, and brown, that had been ejected by the 9-colored clouds at the beginning. This allowed him to take all of the 216 void fruits of the 3-color, dual-color, and single-color void fruit. After reorganizing the void fruits of different colors and qualities and putting them into separate storage rings, Howren raised his head and looked into the depths of the demon sealing secret realm with a trace of worry in his eyes. At this moment, almost half an hour had passed since the agreed time to leave the demon sealing secret realm. Pallas, who had solemnly promised that he wouldn't be late, still hadn't appeared. He couldn't help but begin to worry about whether Pallas had encountered danger in the depths of the secret realm. Howren sat cross-legged in front of the poison lake and waited for nearly 10 minutes. Seeing that the scarlet loath still had not returned, Howren directly stopped cultivating and rose into the air. He planned to enter the depths of the demon sealing secret realm to look for it. However, at this moment, 2 terrifying strands of sword chi suddenly erupted from the depths of the demon sealing secret realm. Boom! The 2 terrifying and sharp sword chis collided with each other, and a deafening boom immediately rang out. Accompanied by the deafening boom, the entire demon sealing secret realm began to shake violently. At this moment, how could Howren not understand why Pallas was late when he saw the familiar strands of sword chi? However, He didn't feel any dissatisfaction towards Pallas for hiding the fact that he had stolen the celestial trapping sword. At this moment, if he had the celestial slaying sword and the celestial slashing sword in his hands, he would also choose to sneak attack before leaving the demon sealing secret realm to see if he could steal the celestial trapping sword from Zhou Yu's. When the terrifying strands of sword qi dissipated, a tall figure covered in blood quickly rushed towards the red rocks. Behind the tall figure, two peak third-grade Emperor Wu experts were desperately chasing after him. They were emitting a strong murderous aura. Without any hesitation, he ordered the Void Spirit Mouse to immediately tear open the void barrier of the secret realm. Meanwhile, he used the power of the law of speed to quickly rush towards Pallas, who was covered in blood and whose aura was slightly chaotic. "Brother Qi, I'm Yu Haoran. I'll take you out of the demon sealing secret realm now." Quickly rushing to Pallas's side, Yu Haoran found that not only was his aura chaotic, but his meridians and blood vessels were all broken. His internal organs were all displaced. Even his physical body, which was comparable to a superior Emperor stage defensive magic weapon, was showing signs of collapsing. However, even though his injuries were so severe, Pallas still maintained a high level of vigilance. Therefore, before approaching Pallas's body, he directly used his divine telekinesis to warn him. After hearing Yu Haoran's warning, Pallas's tensed nerves immediately relaxed, and his vigilance also relaxed. Quickly grabbing Pallas's arm, Yu Haoran left the demon sealing secret realm through the void barrier created by the Void Spirit Mouse before the two peak third-grade Emperor Wu experts arrived. "Uncle Lu Hao, what should we do?" Seeing Yu Haoran leave the demon sealing secret realm quickly, a white-haired old man holding a top-grade Emperor sword asked Zhou Lu Hao after he shattered the void crack with his fist. Among the two peak third-grade martial emperors who rushed over, one of them was a white-haired old man holding a top-grade Emperor sword. Zhou Lu Hao's face was gloomy as he looked at the void barrier created by Yu Haoran. An extremely strong murderous aura appeared in his eyes. Chapter 1651. Xianyang City, in the Prince's Mansion. Looking at Pallas, whose breathing was gradually stabilizing with the help of 3 top-notch healing elixirs, Yu Haoran, who looked slightly tired, could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. When he had fled the demon sealing secret realm, he had only analyzed Pallas's injuries based on his breathing. However, when he had returned to the Prince's mansion and carried out a detailed examination, he found that the situation was dozens of times worse than what he had analyzed. The ruptured meridians and blood vessels, as well as the forced displacement of his internal organs, were nothing compared to the 2 remaining strands of sharp sword aura in Pallas's body. If not for the fact that he had the body of the strongest ancestral wizard in ancient times, he would not have dared to come into contact with the sharp sword aura that was filled with a tyrannical and murderous aura. If not for the fact that he had come into contact with the sword aura of the Immortal Exterminating Sword and the Immortal Exterminating Sword, and then according to the Phalanx explanation of the mutual promotion and suppression of the 4 Immortal Exterminating Swords, he would not have been able to successfully guide the 2 strands of sword aura out of Pallas's body. Looking at the 2 jade pendants in his hand that were used to store the sword aura of the Immortal Slaughtering Sword and the Immortal Trapping Sword, Yu Haoran's slightly tired face revealed a trace of a smile. Although guiding the sharp sword aura in Pallas's body was full of danger and difficulty, the final harvest was equally astonishing. The 2 jade pendants in his hand stored the sharp sword aura of the Immortal Slaughtering Sword and the Immortal Trapping Sword. As long as they were released in an instant, Emperor Wu, an almighty expert at the peak of the 3rd-grade realm, would undoubtedly die. After putting away the 2 jade pendants in his hand, Yu Haoran then took out 8 void fruits from his storage ring. There were single-colored, 2-colored, 3-colored, and 8-colored void fruit. After taking another look at Pallas lying in front of him, and making sure that he would not wake up for a while, Yu Haoran directly swallowed the red void fruit in his hand. As the red void fruit erupted with a strange energy, he gradually felt that in his sea of consciousness, there were countless tiny illusory strands of energy that were like long hair. His comprehension of the laws of life and death, the laws of strength, the laws of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, as well as the laws of speed and the laws of flash, made him very clear that the energy threads that appeared in his sea of consciousness were all strands of laws. However, the power of law that appeared in his sea of consciousness was too illusory, so he couldn't distinguish the quality of the power of law at all, nor could he quickly find the power of law that was suitable for him. As the energy from the red void fruit began to weaken, the power of laws in his consciousness began to disappear. There was no time to carefully choose. Yuhaoran could only rely on his intuition and quickly attach his consciousness to a power of law that was about to disappear. When the power of law that was about to disappear fused with his consciousness, and through his monstrous perception, he successfully comprehended it, a smile of pleasant surprise immediately appeared on Yuhaoran's face. The power of the law of measure. The power of the law that he had chosen to fuse based on his intuition earlier was the power of the law of measure that could form a dual elemental law with the law of speed. As his cultivation became higher and higher, the opponents he faced became stronger and stronger. Yuhaoran gradually discovered one of his shortcomings, which was his speed. Whether it was the speed of his attack, the speed of his flash, or the speed of his instantaneous eruption, he was gradually falling behind his opponents of the same level. This kind of falling behind was related to the physical body and memory inheritance of the ancestral wizard, as well as the power of law that he had comprehended. Now that he had successfully comprehended the power of the law of measure, with the dual elemental law of speed, not only could he make up for his shortcomings in speed, but he could also increase his strength by several times or even more than 10 times. Taking a deep breath and adjusting his inner joy, Yuhaoran slowly opened his eyes. Looking at the dual-colored void fruit in front of him, he swallowed it without any hesitation. As the dual-colored void fruit erupted with a slightly thick special energy, countless power of law reappeared in his sea of consciousness. Compared to the small illusory power of law formed by the red void fruit, the power of law formed by the dual-colored void fruit was thicker and more condensed. Although the thickness and density of the power of law still made it impossible for him to distinguish and choose the power of law that was suitable for him, the clarity in his heart had increased by at least twofold, allowing him to know his choice not long after the power of law appeared. The power of the law of appearance. After fusing the power of law that he had chosen and successfully comprehending it with his monstrous comprehension ability, Yuhaoran was ecstatic that the power of law that he had comprehended with his heart could form a dual elemental law with the law of flash, which could also increase his flash speed. More importantly, according to Thaling's introduction of the law of space, if he wanted to successfully comprehend and control the power of the law of space, he had to first comprehend and control the power of the law of space. The dual elemental law of speed and the dual elemental law of flash were 4 of the 12 auxiliary power of law. Among the remaining 8 auxiliary power of law, with the help of the higher quality void fruit and the space crystal that contained pure space energy, he was confident that he could continue to comprehend 4 to 5 auxiliary power of law. As long as he comprehended more than half of the auxiliary power of law, he would be able to create a law martial skill similar to the power of the law of space. The powerful effects of the red void fruit and the dual-colored void fruit made Yuhaoran happy, and he was filled with strong confidence in comprehending the law of space. Boom! But just as he brought the 3-colored void fruit to his mouth, before he could eat it, a deafening roar suddenly came from the entire Xianying city. Accompanied by the deafening roar, the prince's mansion that was floating in the air began to shake violently. Without any hesitation, he immediately put away the 6 void fruits in front of him and left the practice room in a flash. Yuhaoran quickly rushed to the top of the mansion and looked directly in the direction of the forbidden area of the imperial palace. Looking at the passage of the barrier of the secret realm that was forcibly blasted open by a terrifying force, and looking at the rich and pure spirit energy that emerged from the passage of the barrier, his face instantly became gloomy. Prince Consort, what's going on? Qin Lingfei and the others, who were also alarmed by the deafening roar, quickly left the prince's mansion. Then they quickly rushed to his side. After seeing the passage of the barrier of the void that suddenly appeared in the forbidden area of the imperial palace, Qin Lingfei asked anxiously, "The ancient god clan has begun to descend." Feeling the terrifying force that was constantly increasing at the end of the passage of the barrier, Yu Haoran replied with gritted teeth. Although he had long known that the ancient god clan hiding in the hidden dragon fairyland would descend sooner or later, and he had already prepared the means of retreat and defense in advance, when it really happened, the anger and heavy pressure that instantly emerged in his heart still made him feel very annoyed. Chapter 1652. In Xianyang City. Sigh. Yu Haoran couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the palace that had been emptied half a month ago and the passageway to the barrier of the secret plane that had been blasted out of the forbidden area of the palace. The ancient gods were sinister and cunning. They were adept at scheming and plotting, and they coveted the comfort and pleasure of serving others. In the face of the resplendent palace and the millions of weak humans in Xianyang City, not only would they not destroy the magnificent palace, they would even use Xianyang City as a foothold to protect it. However, the future Xianyang City would no longer be the Xianyang City of the past, nor would it be the Xianyang City that belonged to the Emperor Qin's kingdom. Yu Haoran's sigh allowed Qin Lingfei, who had learned about the temperament of the ancient gods and demons from Zhongli and Shuiqin, to guess the fate of Xianyang City. Sadness and reluctance surged in her heart, and she couldn't help but shed tears. Ling Fei, immediately take Wuhan, Jingjun and Shuiqin back to the prince's mansion and activate the defensive and movement formations that I taught you. Yu Haoran instructed solemnly after wiping the tears from the corners of Qin Lingfei's eyes. It would be best if my sister and I could drive the ancient gods out of Xianyang City. If not, I'm afraid we would have to take the prince's mansion far away from Xianyang City, far away from the Emperor Qin's kingdom. Prince Consort, big sister, be careful. Qin Lingfei nodded solemnly and reminded Yu Haoran and Yusiki before she turned to leave. Big sister, let's go. Yu Haoran took a deep breath as he looked at Yusiki, who had her eyes tightly closed and refused to waste any time cultivating. He then rushed directly to the passageway to the barrier that had been blasted out of the forbidden area of the palace. Standing in front of the passageway to the barrier of the secret plane, he slowly closed his eyes and waited for the ancient gods to appear. At the same time, he quickly familiarized himself with the law of measure and the law of discovery so that he could use the power of the two laws that he had just comprehended to increase his strength. Time passed by second. Half an hour later, as a handsome young man with an outstanding temperament and a slightly thin figure rushed out of the end of the tunnel at lightning speed, Yu Haoran suddenly opened his eyes and performed the fist art inherited from the wizard ancestor with the power of the two laws of speed. He directly blasted the young man, who was only at the peak of the 9th level of the martial saint realm, into a bloody mist. There is indeed an ambush. Just as Yu Haoran easily killed the god race youth at the peak of the 9th grade martial saint realm, a complacent voice immediately resounded from the end of the passageway. Ignoring the voice coming from the end of the tunnel, Yu Haoran looked at the two pairs of pure white feathers that had fallen to the ground amidst the blood mist that he had blasted out. A hint of shock flashed across his eyes. Just now, in order to kill with one strike, not only did he directly use the ancestral witch's inherited fist technique, he also activated the ancestral witch's physical strength. The power of the fist technique finally reached the peak of 7th grade martial honored realm. Even with such a powerful strength, he was still unable to directly destroy the two pairs of pure white wings on the back of the young man. This was enough to prove the strength of the pure white wings, as well as the powerful auxiliary ability that they had for the god race. Perhaps because they had confirmed that there was an ambush outside the secret realm, the god race, who had almost been exterminated in the ancient times, had become cautious and did not continue to send out powerful clansmen to take risks. This also gave Yuhauran time to absorb the 2 pairs of pure white wings that were connected together into his palm. Then, when he was about to use his divine thought to carefully examine the pure white wings in his hand, the yin-yang heavenly fire that had been quietly staying above his dantian suddenly became excited. Then, before he could understand what was going on, the black and white flames directly appeared in his palm and quickly merged into the 2 pairs of pure white wings. In just 3 seconds, the 2 pairs of pure white wings that even a peak 7th grade martial honored realm fist technique could not destroy completely turned into a pile of white powder. As if they knew that swallowing the fire energy contained in the pure white wings without permission would make their master angry, the yin-yang heavenly fire quickly returned to the dantian space and spat out 2 small flames that were as small as beans. The small flame spat out by the black flame directly merged into the dantian, while the small flame spat out by the white flame followed the meridians into the sea of consciousness and quickly merged into the divine soul. Boom! Boom! Just as the yin-yang heavenly fire spat out 2 small flames and merged into the dantian and divine soul respectively, 2 thunderous roars quickly sounded from Yuhauran's body. Accompanied by the thunderous roars, Emperor Wu's spirit power realm and spirit power realm advanced to the early 2nd grade at the same time. Feeling the breakthrough in spirit power realm and spirit power realm, Yuhauran's heart immediately surged with joy. Just by swallowing the 2 pairs of pure white wings of the god race youth, who was a peak 9th grade martial saint, it could increase Emperor Wu's spirit power and spirit power realm. Then, if he were to absorb the 3 pairs of pure white wings of the martial honored realm and the 4 pairs of pure white wings of the Emperor Wu, what kind of earth-shaking increase would it bring to his spirit power realm and spirit power realm? Of course, what really made Yuhauran wild with joy was that the ability of the yin-yang heavenly fire to devour the pure white wings seemed to be able to counter the strongest technique of the ancient god race. If he lost the strongest technique of the pure white wings, then the ancient god race at the same level would not be his opponent. This would give him the opportunity and strength to chase the ancient god race back to the ancient god testing grounds, or directly make them disappear from the profound sky continent. After taking 2 pills to stabilize his realm, Yuhauran looked at the barrier passage with anticipation in his eyes. He hoped that the ancient god race would continue to send out martial saints and martial honored realm clansmen so that he could continue to increase his realm and strength through the yin-yang heavenly fire. However, the idea was beautiful, but the reality was cruel. After the 9 shensis and the 8 gods in the martial god realm discussed in the secret realm, an Emperor Wu who was at the peak of 9th grade led 2 Emperor Wu who were at the peak of 7th grade, 3 Emperor Wu who were at the peak of 3rd grade, and 4 Emperor Wu who were at the peak of 1st grade. They rushed out of the secret realm's barrier passage at the same time. Looking at the 10 almighty martial emperors who rushed out of the barrier's passageway at the same time, Yuhauran quickly rose into the sky. The anticipation in his eyes was replaced by disappointment, and there was a hint of unwillingness in his disappointed expression. If the second doppelganger had not used all the formation flags left by Thaling in the demon sealing secret realm, then he could have used more than a dozen offensive formations and the inherited fist skills of the witch ancestor to kill 1 or 2 of the Emperor Wu's peak of 1st grade. When he saw that there were only 2 young people at the peak of 9th grade martial honored realm outside the secret realm's barrier passage, instead of thousands of soldiers and horses, the leading Emperor Wu who was at the peak of 9th grade martial honored realm could not help but be stunned. Chapter 1653. Xianyang City, in front of the barrier passage. After close to 2 minutes of careful investigation, Emperor Wu of the God Clan finally had to believe that it was the ambush that had made more than 10,000 God Clan experts nervous in the ancient God trial grounds. They had mistakenly thought that it was an army of thousands of men gathered by countless forces in the Tianxian continent. In fact, it was caused by two human top 9th grade martial honorables. The God Clan experts did not know whether to laugh or cry, but at the same time, they could not help but heave a sigh of relief. After all, when the gods of the martial god realm could not leave the ancient god trial grounds for the time being, the humans, who had the absolute advantage in numbers, would definitely cause a lot of trouble for the God Clan army. Then, he immediately signaled the other 9 martial Grand Emperor subordinates to guard around the passageway of the barrier to prevent anyone from secretly attacking the passageway of the barrier of the secret zone and ruining the plans of the 9 Shensis and the army of the deity clan. After ensuring the safety of the passage, the God Clan experts knelt on one knee and shouted at the end of the passage with a fanatical expression. "Your subordinate, Qi Yan, welcomes your highness to the Tianxian continent and lead the God Clan to unify the world and restore the glory of the ancient times." Following Qi Yan's fanatical shout, elite God Clan experts began to appear one after another in the passage. 100, 1,000, 10,000. When Yuhaoran saw more than 10,000 elite experts of the Divine Clan walking out of the barrier's passageway, especially nearly 300 mighty martial emperors of the Divine Clan, whose auras were far stronger than his, he felt the same as when he learned that he could not stop the ancient demon clan from coming into being. He felt helpless. Then, he immediately used his divine mind to instruct Yusiki. "Sister, hurry back to the prince's mansion and assist Ling Fei to drive the mansion away from Xianying City immediately." Without any hesitation, Yusiki turned and flew back to the prince's mansion. Then, the prince's mansion, which was floating in the air, began to move. Yusiki's departure and the movement of the prince's mansion didn't attract the attention of the God race experts. The more than 10,000 God race experts who had left the Stronghold Passage were all kneeling on one knee, looking at the Stronghold Passage with feverish expressions. When a young man in a dark purple robe walked out of the barrier's passageway with a smile on his face, over 10,000 Protoss experts immediately lowered their heads and shouted, "We welcome your highness, son of God, to the profound sky continent. We welcome your highness to lead the God Clan to unify the world and restore the glory of the ancient times." 9th Shensi, who had walked out of the passageway, took a deep breath of the fresh air outside the mystic realm and gestured to everyone with a slightly excited expression. "Get up. Thank you, your highness." As more than 10,000 Protoss experts stood up and quickly formed a battle formation, Qi Lai, who was the first to leave the barrier passageway, quickly walked to the 9th god's son and whispered the information he had just gathered. After hearing that the ambush that had made him and the 8 martial god realm princes nervous was actually from the human youth above them, the 9th god's excitement was instantly replaced by a gloomy expression. At the same time, he immediately rose into the air and asked with a fierce murderous look in his eyes, "Kid, who are you?" "It's him." Just as the 9th prince soared into the sky and shouted at Yuhaoran, an early-stage first-grade martial emperor from the God Clan in the crowd suddenly remembered. Wasn't this young man, who was wearing a dark blue gown and had a slightly refined temperament, the same human who had entered the ancient God trial grounds 4 months ago and secretly killed the elites of the God Clan? Quickly walking to Qi Lai's side, the first-grade Emperor Wu hurriedly told him in detail what Yuhaoran had done. "Gino, if you were to fight him one-on-one, would you have the confidence to defeat and capture him alive?" After hearing his subordinate's report, Qi Lai raised his head and carefully observed the blue-clothed young man floating in the air again. He gradually discovered that the blue-clothed young man was extraordinary. He had the cultivation of a peak 9th grade martial venerable. Emperor Wu's mental state cultivation was at the 1st grade beginner stage. Emperor Wu's physical body was at the 1st grade peak, and Emperor Wu's primary power and soul power were at the second-grade beginner stage. The talent and potential that the blue-clothed young man had shown at the moment belonged to the top geniuses even among the ancient god race who had been protected by the heavens and earth. He would have been fully cultivated by the god race, and for such a top monstrous genius who possessed such valiant strength, he must be a young elite whose name shook the entire Tianxian land. He would be the best sacrificial offering to the flag. Therefore, as the ninth god's temporary assistant in the expedition to the Tianxian continent, Qi Lai suddenly had the idea of capturing the blue-clothed young man alive. Considering that they had been forced to live in seclusion for countless years, the fighting blood that belonged to the god race had long cooled down. They needed an evenly matched bloody battle to reignite the boiling fire in their bodies. Qi Lai immediately thought of a challenge that could easily ignite their passion and blood. Although the blue-clothed young man only had the cultivation of a peak ninth-grade martial venerable, his mental state, physical body, primary power, and soul power meant that he definitely had the strength of Emperor Wu's realm. Then, Gino, who had a grudge against each other and whose strength was only at the first-grade beginner stage of Emperor Wu's, was the best candidate to challenge the blue-clothed young man. "My lord, if I can't defeat him within 3 moves, this subordinate will immediately burn my divine wings and soul as an apology to my lord." Gino immediately slapped his chest and swore an oath after hearing Qi Lai's question. "Okay." After receiving Gino's promise with his death, Qi Lai nodded in satisfaction. "Kid, who are you?" Facing the purple-clothed young man's murderous shout, Yu Haoran, who had quickly adjusted his state of mind, also shouted back fearlessly. "Kid, you're courting death." Yu Haoran did not obediently answer his question, but instead questioned his origin. His fierce counterattack made the ninth Shensi want to kill him, and he immediately planned to attack. However, at this moment, Qi Lai suddenly appeared beside him and whispered everything that Yu Haoran had done to the god race, as well as his idea of using Yu Haoran as a sacrifice to the flag and challenge him. "General Qi Lai, before the flag is sacrificed, I want to use the secret method of the demon race to torture this damned inferior creature." While nodding in agreement with Qi Lai's plan, the ninth Shensi, whose anger had not yet subsided, ordered while gnashing his teeth. "Yes, sir." As long as he was still alive to be sacrificed to the flag, Qi Lai immediately responded respectfully to the ninth Shensi's order. "Kid, do you still remember me?" After receiving the agreement of the ninth Shensi and Qi Lai, Gino flew to Yu Haoran with a ferocious smile on his face, then asked while gnashing his teeth. As the person in charge of the outer security of the ancient god test grounds, not only had the clansman he was in charge of protecting been killed, but he had also failed to capture the murderer afterwards. This caused Gino to be removed from his position as the person in charge, and he also became the target of ridicule and mockery of his clansmen. Chapter 1654. Xianyang City, in front of the barrier's passageway. "So it's you." Looking at the middle-aged expert from the God clan who asked him with a ferocious expression, Yu Haoran recalled a little. He immediately thought of the powerful expert from the Emperor Wu of the God clan who had rushed over from the depths of the secret realm and attacked him when he left the hidden dragon wonderland with the help of the broken bridge. "Kid, it's because of what you did back then. Not only did you make me lose my position as Knight Shao, but you also made me the laughingstock of my clansmen." Seeing that Yu Haoran finally remembered who he was, Gino's eyes were immediately filled with endless grievances and anger as he roared. "Now, only the blood on your body can wash away the humiliation on my body. Back then, I was only a martial saint, and you couldn't do anything to me. Now..." Facing Gino's angry roar, Yu Haoran looked him up and down, and a trace of contempt appeared in his eyes as he mocked. "You still can't do it. Kid, you're dead." After hearing Yu Haoran's scornful mockery, Gino, who had decided to attack immediately, quickly calmed down from his anger with his rich battle experience, and began to use the peak heaven martial skill of the God clan's inheritance. General Chi, this clansman's performance is good. Seeing that Gino was able to quickly calm down from his anger before he decided to attack, the ninth god's son praised him with great satisfaction. Your Highness God's son is too kind. Gino was his direct subordinate. Being able to receive the ninth god's son's personal praise, Chi Lai was very happy. At the same time, he wanted to put in a few good words for Gino so that he could take the opportunity to restore his position as Knight Shao. However, at this moment, he suddenly heard the blue-clothed youth's apologetic voice, which made him unable to continue his words of praise. Seeing that Gino had quickly calmed down, Yu Haoran couldn't help but frown slightly. Even if the God clan had strength that exceeded their own realm, he was confident that he could defeat this middle-aged expert of the God clan, whose cultivation was only at the early stage of the first-grade Emperor Wu, based on the records of the ancient God clan and the Demon clan's records, as well as the fact that he had just killed the peak 9th-grade martial saint. However, defeating the opponent wasn't what he wanted. What he really wanted was to kill him directly, and then obtain the 4 pairs of white wings on his back. 2 pairs of white wings was the peak 9th-grade martial saint, which could allow him to advance to the early stage of the 2nd-grade Emperor Wu. In that case, what kind of change would the 4 pairs of pure white wings of an early 1st-grade martial emperor bring to his cultivation realm and strength? But how could he successfully kill him? Only by making the other party completely enraged, making the other party give up on his defense, would he have a chance to kill the other party. Therefore, he could only continue to make use of his advantage in words, and then use his sarcastic words to make the other party completely enraged. "I'm sorry." Yu Haoran retracted the contempt in his eyes and apologized very sincerely. Yu Haoran's strange apology made Gino, who was ready to use the God clan's peak heaven martial skill, stunned for a moment. He looked at Yu Haoran with confusion in his eyes. For a man, he can accept any kind of humiliation, but he can't accept this. Seeing that his fake sincere apology had successfully attracted the other party's intense attention, Yu Haoran continued to explain with a sincere attitude. Because this is related to a man's ability, a man's face, a man's dignity, and a man's position in a woman's heart. Yu Haoran's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of confusion as he muttered to himself. "That's not right. You didn't capture me back then, not because you weren't strong enough, but because the ancient god test grounds closed too early, so you didn't have time to make a move. Logically speaking, this is just a mistake in your work. You shouldn't have become a laughing stock for your clansmen." Yu Haoran suddenly looked at Gino with his eyes wide open. His eyes revealed a trace of shock as he cried out involuntarily. "As a man of indomitable spirit, could it be that you really can't do it?" Then, his shocked expression was replaced by a trace of pity. He shook his head and sighed heavily. Sigh. Yu Haoran's change in tone was so sudden that Gino could not react in time. However, the Protoss powerhouses in front of the stronghold's passageway immediately understood what was going on, since it was none of their business. Regardless of whether it was the male God clan experts or the few dozen God clan beauties, they all subconsciously looked at Gino's penis. Their eyes revealed a look of speculation. Gino, who quickly reacted, felt the gazes of his clansmen, especially the strange look that flashed through the eyes of the beauties. His heart was instantly ignited with boundless fury, causing him to completely fall into a frenzy of rage. He abandoned the peak heaven rank inherited martial arts technique that he had carefully prepared. Instead, he charged directly at Yu Haoran with his mid-emperor level natal sword in hand. Seeing that his opponent was completely enraged because he couldn't stand his sarcasm, Yu Haoran's eyes flashed with a trace of joy. He immediately used the power of Law of Flash and Flash to successfully dodge Zhang Kong's natal sword. Then, He directly performed the ancestral witch's inherited martial arts technique that he had prepared long ago and landed a heavy blow on his opponent's exposed weakness. Not only was his opponent an Emperor Wu Stage 1 mighty expert, but he was also a God Clan expert from ancient times. Therefore, Yu Haoran had used all of his strength to perform the ancestral witch's inherited martial arts technique. The power of the martial arts technique had already reached the level of an Emperor Wu Stage 2 mighty expert. In a situation where he had completely given up on defense and was directly hit in a vital position, the dignified Emperor Wu Stage 1 mighty expert of the God Clan, Gino, whom Qi Lai had high hopes for, was finally defeated by Yu Haoran's martial arts technique. While the blood mist was spraying, Yu Haoran took the opportunity to retrieve the 4 pairs of pure white wings that had fallen in the blood mist. Qi Lai's face instantly darkened when he saw that Yu Haoran had used the advantage of words to easily kill his proud subordinate. However, a trace of surprise flashed in the eyes of the 9th prince, who was standing in front of him. After retrieving the 3 pairs of pure white wings, Yu Haoran glanced at the God Clan experts, who were instantly tense. The thought of leaving immediately flashed through his mind. He could only use the advantage of words just now to directly kill his opponent while he was in a state of madness. Furthermore, according to Chu Feng's understanding of the ancient era's God Clan, they were experts in crafty plots and machinations. Thus, the opponents that they would arrange to challenge him next time would likely not be early stage rank 1 martial emperors. Instead, it was very likely that they would be early stage rank 2 martial emperors or even peak rank 2 martial emperors. Chapter 1655. Xianying City, in front of the stronghold passageway. The 9th son of God under the Emperor God, Xin Jie. Since he had already decided to leave, Yu Haoran was not the kind of person who would drag his feet. He immediately contacted his first clone that he had left in the cultivation room of the prince's mansion. Just as he was about to use the instant fusion of his main body and clone to leave the scene, he suddenly heard the gentle voice of the purple-clothed young man introducing himself. The 9th disciple of the Qingyun Peak Master, Yu Haoran. The sudden change in attitude immediately piqued Yu Haoran's interest. He temporarily stopped the fusion of his main body and clone and replied calmly. Yu Haoran, you're very good. After receiving Yu Haoran's reply, Xin Jie praised him with a faint smile as he slowly rose into the air. Looking at Xin Jie, who was slowly rising to the same height as him, Yu Haoran looked at him with a hint of doubt in his eyes. He did not understand why Xin Jie had suddenly changed his attitude and praised him. Brother Yu, what do you think of the strength of the Protoss? Xin Jie asked with a gentle smile as he pointed at the more than 10,000 elite experts of the Protoss in front of the stronghold passageway. Very strong. Yu Haoran replied truthfully. Brother Yu, compared to some of the top forces in the Tianxian continent? Xin Jie continued to ask with a gentle smile. The difference is like heaven and earth. Yu Haoran pretended to be sincere as he replied. In fact, the sincere tone just now was not entirely an act. This was because the top forces in the Tianxian continent that he knew were none other than the 4 great guardian families from ancient times, the Zhongli family from the Middle Ages, the Xia family from the Middle Ages, and the mysterious Yushu Temple. However, he basically had no idea how strong these families and the Yushu Temple were, or how many experts of the Emperor Wu were in hibernation or had already awakened. It was far less shocking than seeing more than 10,000 experts of the Protoss in front of him. Brother Yu, do you think Xin Jie could unify the entire Tianxian land if he were to lead these elite warriors of the God Clan? Yu Haoran's sincere and honest evaluation made the smile on Xin Jie's face even brighter. He continued to ask with an even more gentle attitude. Yu Haoran's gaze swept across the more than 10,000 elite Protoss in front of the barrier's passageway, especially the 300 Protoss whose auras were far stronger than his. Although Yu Haoran didn't reply directly, The bitter smile in his eyes had already revealed his true thoughts. "Brother Yu, I'll tell you the truth. These elite experts in front of you are just the tip of the iceberg of our God clan's true strength." The bitter smile in Yu Haoran's eyes made Xinjie even happier as he reminded Yu Haoran with a strong sense of pride. In the ancient God trial field, not only is there an even larger army of the God clan, but there are also martial gods and divine spirits who are cultivating in seclusion, as well as supreme existences in the supreme realm. Yu Haoran didn't give any reply to this. He only looked at Xinjie with eyes full of confusion. He didn't understand what Xinjie was trying to do by asking and reminding him just now. "Brother Yu, although our God clan's strength is very strong, we are limited by the influence of the divine body. The number of our clansmen isn't large. Even if we were to unify the entire Tianxian land, we wouldn't have much energy or sufficient manpower to govern the entire world." Seeing the confusion in Yu Haoran's eyes, Xinjie, who felt that he had reached a certain level of maturity, directly stated his true purpose. "Therefore, I intend to bestow upon you the title of Earl Bang. You will be in charge of managing all the human beings in the Tianxian land on behalf of me. How about that?" After expressing his thoughts, Xinjie lifted his chin slightly. He had an arrogant expression, as if he was waiting for Yu Haoran to kneel down in front of him excitedly and thank him with tears of gratitude. The confusion in his eyes was quickly replaced by contempt. The corners of Yu Haoran's mouth curled up slightly as he mocked. "Xinjie, has the countless years of being sealed caused your brain to be completely fried? How could you have such an idiotic idea that doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth?" "Kid, what do you mean?" Yu Haoran's mockery instantly replaced the smile on Xinjie's face with a gloomy expression. He shouted with an unusually cold expression. "Arrogant and ignorant idiot!" Shaking his head with eyes full of disappointment, Yu Haoran left behind a comment that made Xinjie and all the elite experts of the God clan instantly fall into a violent rage. Then, using the method of instantly merging his original body and doppelganger, he directly disappeared before the eyes of the experts of the God clan. "Your Highness, Son of God, his family and friends are all in that floating and moving mansion. I guess that damned inferior creature must have used a top-notch escape talisman to escape back to that mansion." Qi Lai, who flashed in front of Xinjie, pointed at the prince's mansion, which was thousands of miles away from Xianyang City, and reminded him, "General Qi Lai, you are in charge of occupying this city, and taming those inferior creatures in the city. I, the Son of God, will personally lead 1,000 experts of the God clan to destroy that mansion." Even without Qi Lai's reminder, Xinjie had already used his divine soul, which had the potential to break through to the supreme realm, to lock onto Yu Haoran, who had returned to the prince's mansion. When Xinjie thought about how he had rewarded Yu Haoran out of goodwill, only to receive such a vicious humiliation from the other party, he was filled with rage. He planned to personally capture Yu Haoran and let him enjoy the methods that the ancient god and demon clans used to punish sinners. "Yes, Your Highness." After leaving the barrier passage of the ancient god test grounds, Qi Lai had used his divine sense to thoroughly investigate the entire Xianyang city. He knew that the human experts with the highest cultivation in the city were only at the early 3rd grade of the martial saint realm. They were no threat to the experts of the God clan. However, that mansion, which could float and move, vaguely gave him a sense of danger. Therefore, after nodding, Qi Lai directly assigned all 76 experts at the peak of the 7th grade of the Emperor Wu to Xinjie, in order to avoid any accidents in the process of besieging the mansion. Yu Haoran quickly returned to the prince's mansion by using the method of instantly merging his original body and doppelganger. He carefully checked on Palace's condition. After confirming that he still needed 3 to 4 hours to wake up, he immediately left the training room and went to the square in the front yard of the mansion. The square in the front yard of the prince's mansion was the hub of all the formations in the mansion. Qin Lingfei's people, who were controlling the formations to control the movement of the mansion, were all gathered in the square under the white tiger statue. Junior brother Yu. Because Qin Lingfei's mind was immersed in the core of the array formation, she was temporarily unable to detect Yu Haoran's arrival. Jian Wuhan, who had already made his intentions clear, immediately went over to greet Yu Haoran in pleasant surprise. After hugging the sword without trace, Yu Haoran signaled her not to speak for the time being. He directly walked in front of Zhongli Shuiqin, and then asked with a solemn expression. Chapter 1656. Inside the prince's mansion, Zhongli Shuiqin fell silent when she heard Yu Haoran solemnly ask her to provide the inside story of the blood war between the god race and the demon race. The mysterious ancestor, eternal green sovereign, had left behind too many secrets for the descendants of the Zhongli clan, including the true reason for the blood war between the god race and the demon race. But at the same time, the ancestor was worried that the secrets he left behind might implicate his descendants, so according to the level of the secrets, he left behind many restrictions that could not be casually revealed. The blood war between the god race and the demon race in the ancient times involved the immortal realm, which was one of the top secrets in the world. Even her own father, the patriarch of the Zhongli clan, did not have the ability or qualifications to reveal the reason for the blood war. Zhongli Shuiqin's silence made Yu Haoran realize that his request was too excessive, so he changed the way he asked, hoping to get the answer he wanted. Miss Shuiqin, if the ancient god clan and the ancient devil clan were to encounter each other again, would the bloody war between the two clans continue? To be more precise, will they engage in a life-and-death battle when they meet? Yes. Yu Haoran changed the question, perfectly avoiding the various restrictions set by the ancestor, so Zhongli Shuiqin immediately nodded and replied. The reason why the god race and the demon race lost their position as overlords in the ancient times was directly related to the blood war between the two races. The blood feud accumulated between the two races could not be mediated. I'm afraid that it would only disappear if one side was completely wiped out. After receiving Zhongli Shuiqin's affirmative answer, Yu Haoran's eyes flashed with a hint of joy. Then, he walked to Qin Lingfei's side and used his absolute control over the mansion's formation hub to forcibly expel her consciousness from the hub. Lingfei, go rest first. Leave the rest to me. After instructing the pale-faced Qin Lingfei, Yu Haoran sat cross-legged under the statue of the white tiger and let his second clone take over the control of the mansion's formation. Then, he changed the direction of the prince's mansion and headed straight for the demon-sealing mystic realm thousands of miles away. Boom! As a primordial god clan expert at Emperor Wu's level, Shen Jie led 1,000 elite experts and quickly rushed to the prince's mansion. He then ordered his subordinates to attack the mansion's defensive array with all their might. As the power of the countless attacks landed on the defensive formation, the prince's mansion suddenly shook violently. Some of the pillars used to stabilize the building broke, causing many buildings to collapse. Sister Ling Fei. Sister-in-law. Watching dozens of courtyards and attics in the mansion collapse, the sword without trace and Wu Jingjun looked at Qin Lingfei worriedly. As the mistress of the prince's mansion, although Qin Lingfei wanted to look calm, when she saw the courtyards and attics that Yu Haoran had painstakingly built for her collapse, she couldn't help but shed tears of sadness and reluctance. Lingfei, don't worry. Those collapsed courtyards and attics will automatically recover. Because his second clone was controlling the mansion's formation hub, Yu Haoran could still control his main body to observe the situation around. When he saw the worry in the sword without trace, Wu Jingjun and Zhongli Shuiqin's eyes, and Qin Lingfei's tears of sadness and reluctance, Yu Haoran immediately smiled and comforted her. Yu Shixiang, if over 1,000 martial sovereigns and Emperor Wu divines attack the defensive formation at the same time, how long can this mansion last? Seeing that Yu Haoran could still observe the situation around him while controlling the formation hub, Zhongli Shuiqin was shocked by his cultivation in formations. She immediately asked the question that she wanted to know, but had never had the chance to ask. Unless they use natural spirit treasures or martial gods, they won't be able to break through the mansion's defensive formation anytime soon, Yu Haoran replied with a smile. When Thaling had decided to personally remodel the prince's mansion, he had already considered the possibility of being besieged by powerful enemies in the future. As a result, not only did he incorporate 10 of the most powerful defensive formations and 9 of the most powerful offensive formations, but every time he returned to the mansion after completing his training, Thaling would continue to improve the mansion's defensive and offensive capabilities based on what he had gained and comprehended during his training. If it were not for the fact that the mansion's defenses could withstand the attacks of powerful enemies for a long time, he would not have waited until the primordial divines had descended before driving the mansion out of Xianyang City. Yu Haoran's confident explanation didn't make Zhongli Shuiqin feel completely at ease. She continued to ask, Yu Shixiang, how long exactly is a short time? Let's say 6 hours. Considering Shen Jie's special identity, he definitely had a natural spirit treasure on him, so Yu Haoran gave the shortest time. Yu Shixiang, after 6 hours, how should we deal with the 1,000 or so primordial divines outside the mansion? Zhongli Shuiqin was very shocked that the prince's mansion could withstand the attacks of 1,000 peak martial saints and Emperor Wu for 6 hours. However, she was now more worried about the situation after the defense was breached. Yu Haoran did not answer Zhongli Shuiqin's third question for the time being. Instead, he observed the scenery outside the mansion through the core of the formation. If we're lucky, not only will we be able to resolve our own crisis, but we might also be able to drive the primordial divines out of Xianyang City and the southern region. Yu Haoran spoke with a complicated expression when he saw the prince's mansion fly past the giant sword sect's headquarters and was only 1,000 miles away from the demon sealing secret realm. If we're unlucky, then the moment the mansion's defenses are about to be breached, I will directly detonate all the defensive and offensive formations, as well as the countless amounts of energy accumulated in the mansion. At this point, Yu Haoran looked at the primordial divines experts who were still attacking the mansion with all their might. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. 19 peak heaven-ranked defensive and offensive formations, spirit veins, and the accumulated power of the stars will allow the explosion of the mansion to reach the martial god realm. I believe it will leave behind at least half of the corpses of the primordial divines. Although she really wanted to know what Yu Haoran meant by good luck, she was shocked when she heard his decision to detonate the formations and energy of the mansion. In the end, she chose to remain silent. 20 minutes. Chapter 1657. Shen Jie turned his head to look at the city that was getting further and further away. A hint of hesitation gradually appeared in his eyes. Sensing that the concentration of spiritual energy in the surroundings was getting thinner and thinner, his hesitation was finally replaced by determination. Then, Shen Jie stretched out his hand and swiped at the void in front of him. He then took out a fan from a crack in the void. It was a fan that was refined from dozens of white feathers. The moment Shen Jie took out the feather fan, not only did the 1,000-odd God Clan experts who were attacking the mansion's formation immediately stop attacking and retreat, but Yu Haoran's expression also changed. This was because he sensed an intense and fatal danger from the feather fan that Shen Jie took out. It was exactly the same as when he faced the 4 celestial swords. Ling Fei, Wuhan, Sister, Jingjun, and Miss Shuiqin, activate the top-notch escape talismans that I gave you immediately. I'll send you out of the mansion now. Without the slightest hesitation, Yu Haoran turned his head to instruct Qin Lingfei and the rest loudly. At the same time, he controlled the formation to weaken the mansion's defense so that he could use the top-notch escape talismans to take Qin Lingfei and the rest away. He had already explained what to do if the prince's mansion's defensive formation was breached when he answered Zhongli Shuiqin's third question. Therefore, after hearing Yu Haoran's urgent instructions, Qin Lingfei and the rest also took out their top-notch escape talismans without any hesitation. However, just as they were about to mobilize their primary energy to activate the escape talismans, a deafening roar suddenly came from outside the mansion. Along with the deafening roar, terrifying auras came from the south side of the mansion, one after another. Ling Fei, wait a moment. After sensing the terrifying auras coming from outside the mansion, Yu Haoran immediately turned his head to signal Qin Lingfei and the rest. After sensing the source of the terrifying auras through the formation's formation, he immediately revealed a happy smile and sighed. The heavens are helping me. This is the aura of the ancient demon clan. Zhongli Shuiqin cried out in shock after using a special secret technique to forcibly extract a trace of aura from outside the mansion's defensive formation and carefully identify it. A sliver of tenderness flashed through Xun Jie's eyes as he looked at the pure white feather fan in his hand. He immediately channeled the divine energy within him into the feather fan, planning to use the flames created by the feather fan to burn away the defensive formation of the estate. However, just as he was about to fan the feather fan in his hand, a rumbling sound suddenly came from 50 kilometers away, and a dark and terrifying aura continuously erupted. His expression changed involuntarily. General Qi Lai, those demon bastards have appeared. Immediately lead the army to kill them. Xun Jie's deep-seated hatred allowed him to figure out the other party's origin the moment he sensed the dark and terrifying aura. Without any hesitation, he immediately used his powerful divine consciousness to summon Qi Lai and the others, who were suppressing the people of Xianyang City. Xun Jie, who had instantly taken out his natal sword after retracting his divine thought that had been sent to Qi Lai, commanded the more than 1,000 elite Protoss experts present. Ignore this mansion for now. Follow me to kill those demon bastards. The blood feud that had accumulated since ancient times had caused the Protoss hatred for the demon clan to reach a level that could not be washed away even by the Nine Heavens galaxy. Therefore, after hearing the ninth god's command, the more than 1,000 Protoss experts immediately erupted with an incomparably fierce murderous aura. They howled as they rushed toward the demon-sealing mystic realm that was 50 kilometers away. Ling Fei, immediately control the mansion and rush back to Xianyang City. Also, ask His Majesty to arrange for some civil and military officials to pacify the people of Xianyang City. After forcibly suppressing the ecstasy that had emerged in his heart, Yu Haoran signaled his second doppelganger's consciousness to withdraw from the formation hub. Then, he instructed Qin Lingfei. Prince Consort, be careful. She knew what Yu Haoran was planning to do next and knew how dangerous it was. However, Qin Lingfei, who understood the big picture, didn't object vehemently. She only gently reminded him to be careful. Brother Yu, I'll go with you. Just as Qin Lingfei was about to regain control of the mansion's formation hub, Pallas, who had awakened in time, suddenly rushed over with 2 scabbards in his hands. After seeing the 2 scabbards in Pallas's hands, Yu Haoran's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. It seemed that the heavy price that Pallas had paid when he had launched a sneak attack on Zhou Yu's had not been in vain. However, thinking that Pallas had been brutally tortured by the ancient demon clan for more than 10 years, he had an instinctive fear of the ancient demon clan. The surprise in his eyes was gradually replaced by hesitation. Brother Qi, why don't you stay in the mansion with us? When Yu Haoran had escaped from the demon-sealing realm and returned to the prince's mansion, Qin Lingfei and the rest had already seen Pallas's true appearance. Therefore, when they saw the ugly monster for the second time, their reactions were very calm. This also made Pallas have a good impression of Qin Lingfei and the rest. After handing the celestial trapping sword to Yu Haoran, Pallas replied with a wry smile, "Since we'll meet them sooner or later, why don't we face our inner demons in advance?" As he reached out to take the celestial trapping sword, Yuhauran took out more than 10 top-grade pills used to recover one's strength and directly gave them to Pallas. In response, Pallas accepted them without any hesitation and immediately swallowed a top-grade pill. Subsequently, Yuhauran motioned Qin Lingfei to open a gap in the mansion's defense. Then, he took Pallas and went straight to the battlefield where the ancient gods and demons were fighting. Looking at the gap in the defense formation that had been repaired, a complicated look flashed across Zhongli Shuiqin's eyes. Celestial Trapping Sword, Celestial Slaughtering Sword, and Celestial Slashing Sword. Now that Yuhauran has gathered 3 of the 4 Celestial Slaying Swords, if he obtains the highest grade and most powerful Celestial Slaying Sword among the 4 swords, then, with his cultivation as a Formation Emperor, he should be able to barely arrange the Celestial Slaying Sword formation created by Prime Master Tong Tian. Once the Celestial Slaying Sword formation is completed, all the gods and demons will perish. If the truth is as I've guessed, I'm afraid the family will have to change the supporting party as soon as possible. For Yuhauran and Pallas, who had the strength of Emperor Wu, the distance of 50 miles was just a blink of an eye. Then, they hid in a cloud in the void and carefully watched the bloody battle that was taking place below. Brother Qi, why did the appearance of the ancient demon clan's men and women appear to be polar opposites? In terms of physique, the ancient devil clan and the ancient god clan were very similar. The only difference was that the ancient devil clan had a stronger physique. However, the males of the ancient devil clan were uglier. They were almost comparable to the Scarlet Loath. Chapter 1658. Because he was grateful to Yuhauran for saving his life, Pallas suppressed the fear in his body and accompanied him to face the ancient demon race directly. But when he saw the ancient demon race that could scare him awake even in his dreams, his instinctive fear made him quickly close his eyes. How could he be in the mood to answer Yuhauran's question? Turning his head to look at Pallas, whose eyes were tightly closed, Yuhauran shook his head with a chuckle and continued to watch the bloody battle below. However, his attention had shifted from the appearance of the ancient demon race to the difference in their strength. Perhaps it was because the ancient demon race had just broken through the barrier passage of the demon sealing secret realm. The number of demons that left the demon sealing secret realm at the beginning was not many. This led to them quickly falling into a complete disadvantage when facing the divine race army led by Xin Jie. Although they resisted without fear of death, the result was that their divine souls were directly destroyed, leaving behind countless black wings. After seeing the fierce battle between the 2 sides in the valley and the black wings all over the ground, Yuhauran's mind suddenly flashed with an idea. He hurriedly used his divine sense to discuss with the void spirit mouse that he left in his sleeve. Little spirit, can you avoid the 2 sides that are fighting and go to the valley to collect a pair of martial sage realm blackwings for me? No problem. After the void spirit mouse left his sleeve responded, it stretched out its little claws and directly cut through the void in front of it without using any power. Then, the 2 pairs of black wings in the center of the valley suddenly disappeared. Then, the void spirit mouse appeared in front of Yuhauran with the black wings in its mouth. After reaching out to take the black wings, before he could use his divine sense to inform the yin-yang strange fire, the black and white flames in his dantian immediately appeared in his palm and directly merged with the 2 pairs of black wings in his hand. In just 3 seconds, the 2 pairs of black wings in his hand turned into a pile of black powder. When the yin-yang strange fire returned to his dantian, the black and white flames spat out 2 small flames the size of beans. The small flames spat out by the black flame directly merged with his physical body, while the small flame spat out by the white flame merged with his heart. After that, Yuhauran felt that the small flame that had merged with his body had turned into a stream of pure energy. It began to assist his body in breaking through to Emperor Wu's early second-stage realm. At the same time, the small flame in his heart directly turned into a special energy that began to assist his mental cultivation to break through the realm of Emperor Wu's middle stage level 1. Afraid that his breakthrough would attract the attention of the primordial fiend gods below, Yu Haoran forcefully suppressed the breakthrough of his mental state and physical body. Although the breakthrough was easy to suppress, the ecstasy in his heart was hard to suppress. The primordial god clan's pure white wings could directly increase the realm of essence energy and soul power. The black wings of the ancient demon clan could improve one's state of mind and body. In that case, he only needed to collect as many black and white wings as he could from the valley during the bloody battle. Then, he would be able to complete the accumulation of Emperor Wu's realm in the shortest time possible. After taking 3 deep breaths and barely calming down the ecstasy in his heart, Yu Haoran turned his head and instructed Pallas. "Brother Qi, it seems that you still need some time to overcome your fear of the ancient demon clan. In that case, why don't you immediately return to the prince's mansion and help my wife and friends to protect the safety of the mansion? Brother Yu, don't worry. I will use a secret technique to completely seal my 6 root. This way, I will be able to face the ancient demon clan calmly." Thinking that his embarrassing behavior had caused Yu Haoran's dissatisfaction, Pallas finally decided to use a secret technique that might have side effect. After hearing Pallas's plan, Yu Haoran could not help but change his expression and immediately stopped him. "Brother Qi, don't use the secret technique to seal your 6 roots. From the moment a living being was born, they would have 6 senses and 6 root. The 6 senses referred to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The 6 roots were also called the 6 senses, but they were called the internal 6 senses. They referred to sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and perception. Sealing the 6 senses would only seal the 6 organs of the body, causing them to temporarily lose their function and could be removed at any time. However, sealing the 6 roots was equivalent to sealing all of one's senses, causing one to be in a state of absolute calmness and numbness. Because one's consciousness was already numb, one would not have the thought of removing the seal. Therefore, very few people would seal their 6 root. Brother Yu, don't worry. I am confident that I can remove the seal of the 6 root. Only by sealing the 6 roots would he be able to suppress his instinctive fear of the ancient demon clan. Only then would he be able to help Yu Haoran and repay the favor he owed for saving his life. Brother Qi, look. After interacting with Pallas in his previous life and this life, Yu Haoran knew that Pallas was a strange beast that would not listen to others' advice. Helpless, he could only lie to make Pallas give up on sealing the 6 roots and obediently return to the prince's mansion. Following Yu Haoran's finger, Pallas looked at the ancient gods and demons engaged in a bloody battle below the clouds in the sky. Brother Qi, the martial Saint Realm gods and demons are all dead. The martial Saint Realm gods and demons are about to be wiped out as well. All that's left are Emperor Wu Intermediate and Advanced Emperor Wu Almighty Experts. Yu Haoran said with a bitter smile as he pointed at the hundreds of Emperor Wu Peak 7th Emperor Wu gods and demons. With my current cultivation and strength, do you think I have the right to interfere in the bloody battle between the 2 sides? Brother Yu, since you can't interfere in the battle, then why are you still here? Suppressing his instinctive fear towards the ancient demon race, Pallas looked at the 2 sides in the battle and asked in confusion. Because I want to know the final result of the battle as soon as possible so that I can decide whether to continue staying in Xianyang City or temporarily leave Xianyang City and the southern mountain range. Yu Haoran replied with half-truth. Alright. If he only watched the battle and did not interfere, with Yu Haoran's strength and the assistance of the celestial trapping sword, his safety would not be too much of a problem. Therefore, after careful consideration, Pallas finally decided to listen to his instructions and temporarily return to the prince's mansion. After the scarlet-loathed beast left the clouds in the sky, Yu Haoran also took the opportunity to leave. Finally, he quietly landed at a location 10 miles away from the two parties. Then, he used the top-grade earth elemental bead that he obtained from Sima Chen Kai to sneak into the valley. Under the guidance of the Void Spirit Mouse, it took him almost 20 minutes to successfully reach 100 meters below the valley. Chapter 1659. Thinking of the two parties fighting above the valley, he realized that they were both powerful experts of Emperor Wu's realm. Their senses were very sharp. Therefore, Yu Haoran did not take the risk to reveal himself. He only asked the empty spirit mouse to help him determine the grade of the black and white wings, as well as the number of black and white wings that had fallen. Then, he kept close to the ground and collected the black and white wings one by one. After nearly half an hour of careful collection, he finally obtained a pair of black and white wings at the peak of the 9th grade Martial Saint, a pair of black and white wings from the 1st grade to the peak of the 9th grade Martial Revered, and a pair of black and white wings from the 1st grade to the peak of the 6th grade Emperor Wu. Although there were more than 20 pairs of black and white wings from the 7th and 8th grade Emperor Wu in the valley, the black and white wings of this realm were not only huge in size, but also contained powerful energy. If he wanted to collect them by force, he would have to use all his strength. This would easily attract the attention of the two parties fighting. Moreover, the black and white wings that he had just collected were enough for him to complete the accumulation of Emperor Wu's realm. Therefore, Yu Haoran, who was not overly greedy, used the earth elemental pearl to quietly leave the valley. Then, he returned to the clouds in the void and continued to observe the outcome of the battle. Mo Hao stopped first. Shen Jie, who had used a martial skill that overdrew his divine power to temporarily force his opponent to retreat, quickly glanced at the two parties fighting and the countless black and white wings that had fallen in the valley. His eyes revealed a trace of sadness as he shouted at the demon's son. "Shen Jie, you're scared." The demon's son, Mo Hao, said sarcastically as he waved the 2-meter-long giant blade in his hand. Mo Hao, take a look first. Pointing at the countless black and white wings in the valley, Shen Jie shouted with a gloomy face. It's normal. After glancing at the countless black and white wings in the valley, Mo Hao said indifferently. Compared to the deaths of millions and tens of millions of people in the ancient times, the corpses of tens of thousands of gods and demons are nothing. Mo Hao, you're right. Shen Jie, who nodded in agreement with Mo Hao, took a deep breath and reminded him. But don't forget, during the blood war of the ancient times, we were the true overlords of the ancient continent. No matter what kind of losses we suffered, we could slowly recover afterward. Shen Jie shouted at the top of his lungs as he pointed at the distant central domain. However, the current overlords of the profound sky continent are humans. They are lowly creatures that were once enslaved by us. If the result of our bloody battle is disastrous, I believe that they will definitely exterminate us. After hearing Shen Jie's hoarse reminder, the remaining primordial godfiend experts stopped fighting and stood behind their respective highnesses. Yu Haoran, who was hiding in the clouds, couldn't help but frown when he saw that both sides were about to give up. Although both sides had just engaged in a bloody battle with no regard for the consequences, resulting in heavy casualties on both sides, most of the less than 900 demon gods left on the scene were top experts of Emperor Wu's peak 7th stage realm and above. No matter if it was the ancient god clan or the ancient demon clan, as long as one of them returned to Xianyang City, he could only take the prince's mansion and leave Xianyang City for good. However, he was unwilling to leave just like that. He was also unwilling to give up Xianyang City and the great Emperor Qin kingdom that could enjoy the assistance of fate. Then, what could he do to make both sides fight again? It would be best if they could all perish together. Just as Yu Haoran was deep in thought, Mo Hao, who had also realized that the current situation wasn't suitable to continue the blood war of the ancient races, finally chose a temporary truce. However, Just as Shunjie was about to return to Xianyang City with his remaining 400 subordinates to recuperate and adjust, hundreds of terrifying martial technique powers suddenly blasted out from the void 1,000 meters away from Yuhauran. As the terrifying martial technique powers blasted out, Yuhauran saw more than 500 experts in green, white, red, and gray robes standing in the originally calm void. There was no need to think too much about it. He knew that these 500 experts of the Emperor Wu realm came from the 4 great guardian families of the Tianxian continent. When he saw the 4 white-haired elders standing in front of the crowd, each holding a formation flag embroidered with the blue dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise, and felt a heavenly aura from the 4 formation flags, he immediately understood why he and the ancient god-demon hadn't discovered the hundreds of experts hidden in the void. The reason was that the formation flags in the hands of the 4 white-haired elders were all divine artifact-level formation flags, which were also the formation flags that his second doppelganger dreamed of. Thinking of how he and Pallas hid in the clouds with the celestial trapping sword and the celestial culling sword, how he used the yin-yang heavenly fire to absorb the black wings, and how he used the earth elemental pearl to go deep into the ground to steal the black and white wings in the valley, all under the noses of countless experts from the 4 great guardian families, Yuhauran's face instantly darkened. At the same time, he couldn't help but start to miss Thaling. If Thaling didn't leave, he would definitely be able to discover the 4 great guardian families hidden in the void in advance with his 3rd tribulation demigod strength and his unfathomable cultivation in formations. In that case, he wouldn't have exposed the existence of the celestial slashing sword and the celestial culling sword, let alone the secret that the yin-yang heavenly fire could devour the black and white wings of the ancient god-demon. However, it was too late for regrets now. After taking a deep breath and forcefully suppressing the anger in his heart, Yuhauran directly left the void cloud. Then, on a mountain peak 100 miles away, he used his divine thought to check the final result of the battle between the 2 parties. One party was ambushed when they were unprepared, while the other party was ambushed when they were fully prepared. One party was in a weakened state after a bloody battle, while the other party was in a peak state of recuperation. The result of the first battle between the 2 parties was obvious. There were only over 900 ancient godfiends left. Under the sneak attack of over 500 martial emperors from the 4 guardian families, not only were more than 500 ancient godfiends blasted into a bloody mist, but the black and white wings on their backs were also destroyed. Even the 400 ancient god-demon experts, who managed to escape the ambush of the 4 great guardian families, suffered unimaginable injuries. After using the white feather fan to block the other party's ambush, Shunjie roared with grief and indignation, "Let's go! Retreat!" Mo Hao, whose eyes were also filled with boundless anger, ordered the remaining 200 subordinates behind him and directly returned to the demon sealing secret realm through the barrier passage under his feet. Kill! Seeing that the ancient god demons were planning to escape, the 4 white-haired old men ordered the experts behind them at the same time. As the demon race was too close to the barrier passage into the demon sealing secret realm, most of the demon race experts had already successfully entered the demon sealing secret realm by the time the 4 great guardian families' Emperor Wu realm experts chased after them. Chapter 1660. In front of the barrier passage of the demon sealing secret realm. Can Formation Emperor you come for a chat? The 4 white-haired elders from the 4 guardian families did not join the ancient god and demon clans in their pursuit. Instead, they came to the barrier passage of the demon sealing secret realm under the protection of 16 Emperor Wu Pinnacle Grade 9 expert. After a careful inspection, the 4 white-haired old men looked at each other. Then, the gray-robed white-haired elder invited Yuhauran, who was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak 100 miles away. In the face of the gray-robed old man's invitation, Yuhauran couldn't help but take a deep breath. After adjusting the tension in his heart, he tore through the void and instantly appeared in front of the gray-robed old man. After glancing at the 4 white-haired elders in front of the barrier passage, Yu Haoran asked indifferently, "What's the matter?" "Formation Emperor Yu, we have no ill intentions towards you, so you don't have to be hostile towards us." The gray-robed elder could sense the strong hostility and vigilance in Yu Haoran's reply, so he reminded him with a slight frown. "Ha ha!" Yu Haoran could not help but mock the gray-robed elder's seemingly kind reminder. "Formation Emperor Yu, what do you mean by this?" Yu Haoran's mocking made the gray-robed elder feel a little displeased. After glancing at the 2 white-haired elders in green and white robes, Yu Haoran replied with a cold smile. "If I, Yu Haoran, wasn't so lucky, I'm afraid I would have died in the hands of the Blue Dragon Clan and White Tiger Clan enforcers." After hearing Yu Haoran's cold reply, the gray-robed elder turned to look at the 2 white-haired elders in green and white robes with a questioning look in his eyes. The premature birth of the Supreme Transformation Pill could possibly affect the situation of the entire Tianxian land. Qingjiu followed the rules and sent out law enforcers to kill Formation Emperor Yu. Facing the gray-robed old man's inquiring gaze, the green-robed old man slowly closed his eyes and understood for a while. After opening his eyes, he replied, "Formation Emperor Yu, the meaning of the existence of the 4 great divine beast clans is to protect the peace of the Tianxian land, to eliminate all hidden dangers that could affect the peace of the land. This is also the important reason why we launched a sneak attack on the ancient god and demon clans." After hearing the explanation of the old man in green robe, the old man in gray robe turned around and explained to Yu Haoran after a trace of understanding flashed in his eyes. They only explained the responsibilities and obligations of the guardian clans, but did not have the slightest intention of apologizing. Yu Haoran finally experienced the arrogance and overbearingness of the 4 great guardian clans. He could not be bothered to continue entangling with them. "May I know why your guardian family has invited me here?" Although the hostility had disappeared, his attitude was still as cold as before. "Formation Emperor Yu, may I know what's your opinion on the barrier passage in front of us?" Being able to understand the reason why Yu Haoran was still cold, the gray-robed old man did not continue to dwell on what had happened before. He then turned around and pointed at the barrier passage of the secret realm. "Brother Yu, if I'm not wrong, this old man probably wants to reseal the barrier passage of the secret realm and continue to let the ancient demon clans stay in the demon-sealing secret realm. Perhaps it was because of the induction of a formation master of the same level. The second clone that had been cultivating in the sea of consciousness had attracted his intense attention the moment the gray-robed old man was exposed. At the same time, combined with the gray-robed old man's various actions just now, he had roughly guessed the reason why the old man took the initiative to invite his original body. Brother ran 2 questions. After hearing the second clone's reminder, a thought immediately flashed through Yu Haoran's mind and he quickly asked, "The other party's formation master cultivation? Can you reseal the barrier passage in front of us?" "Brother Yu, the other party is already a formation master at the peak of the Formation Emperor realm. As for the gray-robed old man's formation master realm, the second clone had already used the secret method left behind by Thaling in advance to check it out. However, he could not help but shake his head and smile bitterly as he spoke about the barrier passage of the secret realm. As for the barrier passage of the secret realm, it doesn't matter if it's sealed or not. This is because with the strength of the ancient demon clans, they can completely blast open the barrier passage of the secret realm from another point in the secret realm. After hearing the second clone's reply, a trace of disappointment flashed through Yu Haoran's eyes. He also told the gray-robed old man his explanation just now. "Formation Emperor Yu, if you use a divine artifact-level formation flag, can you reseal the entire demon-sealing secret realm?" As the gray-robed old man's formation master realm was far superior to the second clone's, of course, He knew that just sealing the barrier passage of the secret realm was not enough. Therefore, he directly stated the real reason why he invited Yu Haoran here. "Brother Yu, let me think about it first." After hearing the gray-robed old man's true intentions, especially when he was willing to take out a divine artifact-level formation flag, the second clone suddenly thought of a sealing formation recorded on the nimble chessboard. He also realized that this was an opportunity for him to achieve a breakthrough in his formation master realm. Being able to feel the excitement of his second avatar, Yu Haoran could only temporarily use the other party's Array Emperor realm as an excuse and then forcefully extinguish the idea of mocking and ridiculing him. Then, he walked straight to the barrier passage of the secret realm. While buying time for the second clone to think, he wanted to take the risk to check the situation in the demon sealing secret realm. However, just as his consciousness entered the demon sealing secret realm through the barrier passage, it was forcibly expelled from the secret realm by two terrifyingly powerful forces. Closing his eyes, he carefully recalled the two forces that expelled his consciousness and then combined them with the records of the ancient demon clans and god clans in various ancient books. He had a rough idea of the basic situation in the demon sealing secret realm. According to Palace's introduction of the Demon Sealing Secret Realms rules, after the competition for the Void Fruit, the Demon Sealing Secret Realms rules would directly advance from a weak state to a peak state. The Demon Sealing Secret Realms rules in its peak state had the terrifying strength of a beginner's supremacy. The fact that the ancient demon clans could forcibly break through the barrier passage of the secret realm under the suppression of the Demon Sealing Secret Realms rules meant that they were either supreme beings in the supremacy realm or had a supreme celestial artifact that could suppress the secret realm's rules. Based on the two terrifying forces that his consciousness had come into contact with, especially the dark force that was somewhat similar to Thaling, Yu Haoran was more inclined to believe that it was a supreme celestial artifact. However, to use a supreme celestial artifact to resist the secret realm's rules, at least a certain number of martial god realm deities had to work together. This also proved that there must be many martial god realm powerhouses among the ancient demon clans that had broken the seal. Chapter 1661. In front of the barrier passage of the Demon Sealing Secret Realm. Just as Yu Haoran guessed why the four great guardian families would take the risk to attack and seal the ancient gods and demons, the second clone in his mind suddenly asked excitedly, "Brother Yu, I remember you collected a part of the Green Dragon's blood essence in front of the Green Lotus Cave abode in the Qinling Mountains, right?" "That's right," Yu Haoran replied affirmatively. When the pagoda spirit had used Flourishing Curtain's nomological martial technique to cut off the Green Flood Dragon's lifespan, he had taken into consideration that the Green Flood Dragon's cultivation level was at the early third stage of the Great Emperor realm. The Divine Dragon's bloodline in its blood essence could help raise the Winged Dragon Aotion's level and strength. "Give it all to me," the second clone immediately requested. "No problem." Yu Haoran nodded and immediately asked the second clone why he wanted the Green Dragon's blood essence. "Brother Yu, the exquisite chessboard is engraved with a divine-level sealing formation called the Grand Formation of Sun, Moon, and Stars. It uses the four symbols formation flag as the foundation and the power of the law of Sun, Moon, and Stars as the guiding force. It can actively absorb the power of the Sun, Moon, and Stars to form a powerful defensive and sealing formation," the second clone explained excitedly. "Although I can't set up the complete grand formation of Sun, Moon, and Stars with my current cultivation in formations, I can set up a weakened version of the grand formation of Sun, Moon, and Stars with the help of the Divine Weapon Formation Flag and the Green Dragon's blood essence. It can completely seal the Demon Sealing Secret Realm." After hearing the second clone's detailed explanation, Yu Haoran was also overjoyed. He immediately asked if the grand formation of sun, moon, and stars could also seal the ancient god trial grounds where the ancient gods were. Brother Yu, the demon sealing secret realm and the ancient god trial grounds are of the same level. Of course, it can be sealed. The second clone gave him an answer that made him even more ecstatic. Although sealing the ancient gods and demons in the ancient god trial grounds and the demon sealing secret realm could temporarily eliminate the danger of Xianyang City and Emperor Qin's kingdom, the four great guardian families who secretly ruled the Tianxian continent would obviously benefit more. Therefore, before setting up the grand formation of sun, moon and stars that could seal the demon sealing secret realm, he had to obtain enough benefits from the four great guardian families. At the very least, they were treasures that could help his second clone improve his array formation skills. Thinking of this, Yu Haoran turned around and walked to the gray-robed old man. His expression remained cold as he spoke. If I use the four symbols formation flags of your four guardian families, I have a way to reseal the demon-sealing mystic realm of the ancient demon clan and the ancient god testing grounds of the ancient god clan. Really? The gray-robed old man asked in surprise. The eyes of the green-clothed, white-clothed, and red-clothed old men also revealed a trace of unconcealable joy as they looked at Yu Haoran. Have you heard of the sun-moon-star formation created by Senior Gigazi in the Middle Ages? Yu Haoran asked with a bland tone after casually adding a powerful and mysterious origin to the sun, moon and stars magic formation. I know a little about Senior Guzi, but I've never heard of the sun-moon-star formation that he created. After hearing Yu Haoran mention the name and origin of the sealing formation, the gray-robed old man frowned slightly and said, "Since you've never heard of it, after I use the sun-moon-star formation to seal the demon-sealing secret realm, you can stay and observe it carefully." Like a senior teaching a junior, Yu Haoran instructed in an educating tone. Although the green-clothed, white-clothed, and red-clothed old men showed strong dissatisfaction in their eyes, the gray-robed old man, who was obsessed with arrays, nodded his head in agreement with gratitude. After sweeping his gaze across the green-clothed, white-clothed, and red-clothed old men, Yu Haoran turned his head to look in the direction of Xianyang City. His gaze finally stopped on the gray-robed old man. To set up the sealing formation of the sun-moon-star formation, whether it's my own strength or the cultivation resources stored, it's an unimaginable huge consumption. So I need some compensation in advance. Yu Haoran, to prevent the cruel demon god from being born in the ancient times is to save millions of lives from water and fire. It's an opportunity to accumulate supreme merit. Can't you make a little sacrifice for this? Seeing that Yu Haoran actually dared to ask for benefits from the four guardian clans using the opportunity of setting up the sealing formation, a trace of disdain flashed through the eyes of the old man in red robes. He feigned a compassionate appearance and begged bitterly. "The life and death of millions of lives has nothing to do with me, Yu Haoran. I don't care about the so-called merit and opportunity." In the face of the red-clothed old man's fake compassionate request, Yu Haoran immediately retorted in a heartless tone. I don't care about the life and death of millions of lives, and I don't care about the illusory merit." Yu Haoran's ruthless and shameless counterattack left the red-robed old man at a loss as to how to respond. "Yu Haoran, your sect and family are in the southern region. If you don't find a way to seal the second birth of the ancient demon god, I'm afraid your family and sect will be destroyed by the ancient demon god. Are you so cold-blooded that you ignore family and friendship?" The green-clothed old man stepped in front of the red-clothed old man and asked with a sneer in his eyes, "Use your divine thought to look at the Qingyun peak of the 100 Qi Gate, then turn around and look at the imperial palace of Xianyang City. Then think about whether you have the confidence to ask the question just now." In the face of the green-clothed old man's questioning of family and friendship, Yu Haoran also retorted with a sneer. After the green-clothed old man used his divine thought to look at the Qingyun peak and the imperial palace of Xianyang City, he continued with a smug smile in his eyes. As early as half a year ago, I already knew that the ancient demon god clan in the ancient god test field would come to the Tianqian continent. Since then, I have already started to arrange for the retreat of my family and friends. Therefore, it doesn't matter to me, Yu Haoran, whether the ancient demon god clan and the ancient demon god clan will come to the southern region of the Tianqian continent a second time or not. Yu Haoran, aren't you afraid of death? The white-clothed old man stepped over the red-clothed old man and the green-clothed old man and stood directly in front of Yu Haoran, threatening him with a murderous look. Old man, although you are a fake god in the demigod realm, you are not qualified to kill me, Yu Haoran. The murderous look that emerged from the white-clothed old man was very similar to that of Thaling when he was in the first tribulation demigod realm. Chapter 1662. In front of the barrier passage of the demon sealing's secret realm. Regardless of whether it was a request, a question, or a threat, Yu Haoran rejected them all without hesitation. The gray-robed elder knew this very well. If they still wanted to successfully prevent the ancient demon god from being born a second time and ensure that their plan that had been planned for countless years could be carried out smoothly, then they had no choice but to agree to Yu Haoran's request for compensation. Therefore, the gray-robed elder smiled at Yu Haoran after shaking his head at the green-robed elder and the other two, indicating that they should leave for now. Formation Emperor Yu, what kind of compensation do you want? They were willing to accept the compensation in humiliation in order to prevent the ancient god and demon clans from descending upon the profound sky continent a second time. This caused Yu Haoran to have doubts about the overly firm determination of the four great guardian families. He suspected that the four great guardian families were definitely secretly planning an earth-shattering scheme that could not be disturbed by the powerful ancient gods and demons. Although he did not know what earth-shattering conspiracy they were planning, it gave him a chance to ask for an exorbitant price. Therefore, his original plan to ask for something that could help his second clone improve his formation skills had changed. Not only was he going to ask for an exorbitant price, but he was also going to use the exorbitant method to confirm his guess. All the black and white wings in the valley belong to me, Yu Haoran demanded in an unquestionable tone as he pointed at the black and white wings that almost covered the entire valley. No way. The red-robed elder immediately objected strongly when he heard that Yu Haoran wanted to take all the black and white wings in the valley for himself. Regardless of whether it was the 9 heavens' divine flames in the white wings or the demonic flames of hell in the black wings, they were all supreme treasures to the Vermilion Bird clan, who were adept at controlling fire. If the Vermilion Bird clan could take all the black and white wings in the valley for themselves, they could create at least hundreds and thousands of Emperor Wu powerhouses. Furthermore, each powerhouse would have the ability to challenge those of a higher level. Are you sure? Yu Haoran asked with a slight smirk. Yu Haoran, you can only take 1/10 of the amount. That's my bottom line. Yu Haoran's mocking threat made the red-robed old man immediately think of the sealing array formation. He could only grit his teeth and take a step back. Forget it, the profound sky continent has been peaceful for millions of years. It's time for some liveliness. Shrugging his shoulders, Yu Haoran put on an indifferent attitude and immediately rose into the air, intending to leave the valley. Formation Emperor Yu, I agree. However, in the instant that he rose up into the air, the gray-robed elderly man immediately agreed on his own accord. Fourth brother, what do you mean? Losing the black and white wings in the valley was equivalent to losing the opportunity for the family to increase their strength in a short period of time. In the face of the gray-robed old man's decision, the red-robed old man asked with a gloomy face. Just like what third brother said to the Array Emperor, for the billions of people in the Tianqian land, I hope you can make some sacrifices. The gray-robed elder replied indifferently. Fourth brother Yu. The gray-robed old man's indifferent reply immediately angered the red-robed old man. He couldn't help but want to teach the gray-robed old man a lesson. However, he was forcefully stopped by the green-robed and white-robed old men with smiles on their faces. They then took turns persuading the gray-robed old man. Howren, who had returned to the valley, saw the smiles on the green-robed and white-robed old men's faces, and saw the gloating look in the gray-robed old man's eyes. He immediately knew that the four guardian families, which seemed to have merged into one, actually still had internal conflicts. This made him even more confident in his next demand. Formation Emperor Yu, please continue. Seeing that third brother gradually calmed down under the persuasion of big brother and second brother, and nodded in agreement, the gray-robed old man turned to Howren and gestured. From what I know, it seems that the Blue Dragon family has a rank 1, 3rd grade green spirit purple lotus. I need the 9 lotus seeds from the green spirit purple lotus. Howren said with a smile as he looked at the green-robed old man with a happy smile on his face. No. After hearing Howren's second request for compensation, the green-robed old man flatly refused without any hesitation. Rank 1, 3rd grade green spirit purple lotus, also known as the body-shaping panacea, was a supreme panacea that could help Emperor Wu, who was at the peak of level 9, to advance his divine body. Every 90,000 years, the green spirit purple lotus would produce 9 lotus seeds, which corresponded to the 9 realms of Emperor Wu's physical body grade. It could achieve a breakthrough of 1 realm per month. Moreover, using the lotus seeds to advance the physical body grade did not have any side effect. Instead, it helped to stimulate the potential of the physical body. It was a supreme panacea that could assist Emperor Wu's physical body grade in the Tianxian continent. Even the direct descendants of the Azure Dragon clan didn't have the qualifications to consume such a precious lotus seed. Yet, Howren wanted 9 of them in one go. How could the green-robed old man possibly agree? Is that so? Just like how he responded to the red-robed old man's refusal, Howren shrugged his shoulders and looked like he was about to leave the valley. This made the red-robed old man, who was at a disadvantage just now, immediately rush to the green-robed old man and persuade him with a hypocritical smile. "Big brother, didn't you just say?" However, the white-robed old man did not gloat this time. Instead, he looked directly at Howren and asked, "Howren, is your third request targeting my white tiger family?" "That's right." Howren did not deny that he was deliberately targeting him, and said with a smile, "I know that the killing god by Qi in ancient times, after perishing together with the evil cultivator old man Hun, his natal sword, the spirit-slaughtering sword, fell into the hands of your white tiger family. So, my third request is the spirit-slaughtering divine sword, the killing god by Qi's natal sword." After hearing Howren's request for the spirit-slaughtering divine sword, the white-robed old man did not flatly refuse or nod his head in agreement. He only looked at him with a cold smile. Ignoring the white-robed old man's cold smile, Howren looked at the gray-robed old man and said in a relatively polite tone, "Senior, as far as I know, your Black Tortoise family has the outline book of the formation left by the illusory Void Primeval Supreme. You need to copy a complete outline of the formation for me." After hearing Howren's third and fourth requests, the red-robed old man did not continue to persuade the green-robed old man. Instead, he remained silent like the other 3. Chapter 1663. In front of the demon sealing secret realm's barrier passage. Ignoring the silence of the 4 white-haired old men, Howren took out a blank jade slip from his storage ring and recorded the types of medicinal herbs he needed. Before accepting Palace invitation to enter the demon sealing secret realm, he had spent nearly 10 days refining a large number of pills to improve his alchemy realm and the grade of his void pill condensation technique. Perhaps it was because the grade of the spiritual herbs he had stored was too low, and the high-quality pills he could refine were too few. In the end, his alchemy realm only advanced to the mid-stage of alchemy, and his void pill condensation technique was stuck at the bottleneck of breaking through. At the same time, as his second doppelganger's auxiliary ability became stronger and stronger, the pressure his first doppelganger felt also increased. He also needed a large number of top-notch medicinal herbs to help his first doppelganger improve his cultivation and alchemy realm. Therefore, he took advantage of the opportunity to demand an exorbitant price from the 4 Guardian clans to try his best to obtain enough benefits for himself and his doppelganger. Yuhauran recorded a total of 360 types of second-tier medicinal herbs from 1st grade to 9th grade. Then, he handed the jade slip that recorded the medicinal herbs to the gray-robed old man. Yuhauran turned around and walked to the front of the barrier passage of the secret realm. He quietly completed the process of transferring his main body and clone with his second clone. This was because Yuhauran believed that the 4 white-haired old men would definitely agree to his request. After taking control of his body, his second doppelganger immediately soared into the air and observed the environment and direction of the entire valley, looking for and determining the various points to set up the Sun-Moon-Star formation. 10 minutes later, after determining how to perfectly set up a weakened version of the Sun-Moon-Star formation and returning to the stronghold's passageway, the 4 white-haired old men who were communicating with their eyes through telepathic thoughts finally unanimously agreed to Yuhauran's 4 requests, as well as the additional medicinal herbs. To put it bluntly, I don't trust anyone from the 4 Guardian clans. Although the other party agreed to the compensation he had just proposed, after experiencing the shamelessness and treachery of the Shang clan's Shang Jie, Yuhauran already had a psychological shadow of once bitten twice shy. Therefore, he was not afraid of provoking the other party's displeasure and directly let his second doppelganger express his attitude on his behalf. Therefore, before you prepare the 9 lotus seeds of the green spirit purple lotus, by Chi's spirit slaughtering divine sword, the Phantom Primeval Supreme's formation outline, and 360 types of second-order medicinal herbs from 1st order to 9th grade, I will not set up the sealing formation of the Sun-Moon-Star formation for the time being. The Elder and the other 3 Guardians with a livid face glared at Yuhauran with dissatisfaction, and immediately ordered one of Emperor's subordinates who was at the peak of 9th grade realm to return to the clan to retrieve the treasures to compensate Yu's treasure. Of Yuhauran was of the peak realm. Although the encampment of the 4 great Guardian clans was very far from the southern region, with a peak 9th grade martial emperor almighty expert who could tear the void and travel at full speed, it only took them less than 20 minutes to successfully retrieve the 9 lotus seeds, a copy of the outline of the formation, the spirit-slaughtering divine sword, and 360 top spiritual medicines. 4 symbols formation flags. After putting away the treasures that the other party had given as compensation, the second doppelganger directly reached out and asked for the divine weapon formation flags. In response, the elder in the gray robe did not hesitate to take out 4 formation flags that exuded a faint divine power and had 4 divine beasts embroidered on them. As they were divine weapon formation flags, they could not be controlled with divine thought before being refined. Therefore, the second doppelganger could only use the means of flight to insert the 4 formation flags in the positions that he had determined beforehand. Next, the second doppelganger began the complicated, long and arduous process of forming seals. It took nearly half an hour to form a total of 3,650 seals. Only then was the 4 symbols formation flags completely connected with the demon-sealing arcane realm. Looking at the formation seals that Yuhauran had just formed, the elder in the gray robe's expression changed from the initial surprise to shock, and finally to doubt and puzzlement. This was because he discovered that Yuhauran, whose array Dao was far inferior to his, not only was the array Dao imprint complex and ever-changing, but each imprint also contained a trace of strange mysteries. Even with the large number of top elixirs that Yuhauran had provided, condensing 3,650 formation seals in one go was still extremely taxing on the second doppelganger. Therefore, after the formation had successfully connected the formation flags to the demon's sealing arcane realm, the second doppelganger, whose face was slightly pale, immediately sat down cross-legged to rest. This also eased the expressions of the 4 white-haired elders from the 4 guardian clans slightly. At the same time, the elder in the gray robe secretly took out an almost transparent talisman from his sleeve. A trace of joy flashed through his eyes as he directly stuck it to his forehead. When he had recovered to 70% of his condition, the second doppelganger directly took out 28 drops of the green serpent's blood essence. He first raised his head to look at the dazzling sun, then directly scattered all 28 drops of the green serpent's blood essence into the air. Immediately afterwards, his 10 fingers danced like fairies as they rapidly formed one seal after another. Every time a seal fused with a drop of the green serpent's blood, the blood would form a strange pulling force that began to draw in the scorching energy from the sun in the sky. This is the aura of the laws of the sun, moon, and stars. Just as the green serpent's blood essence began to emit a pulling force, the elder in the gray robe was slightly shocked when he sensed the aura of the laws in the blood essence. Then, he revealed an expression of sudden realization. I see. Fuse. When the 28 seals formed were all fused with the green serpent's blood essence, the second doppelganger suddenly pushed his palms forward and roared at the same time. Accompanied by the roar, 28 drops of the green serpent's blood essence that drew in the energy of the sun, moon, and stars quickly fused with the formation flags and the demon's sealing secret realm, causing the barrier passage that the ancient demons had forcibly opened to slowly close. Who dares to reseal the barrier passage of the demon's sealing secret realm? Just as the barrier passage slowly began to close, a fierce shout suddenly came from the end of the barrier passage. In this regard, the second doppelganger, who had a dull temperament, did not give any response. However, Yuhauran found the last opportunity to take advantage of the 4 guardian families. Taking advantage of the fact that everyone present was attracted by the shout at the end of the passage, Yuhauran quickly completed the exchange of his original body and doppelganger. His eyes were full of expectation as he looked at the end of the passage, hoping that the other party would leave behind a few threatening words so that he could give the other party a fierce counterattack. Cowards, do you dare to tell me your names and origins? The ancient demon expert, who did not receive any response, risked using his divine thoughts to sense the situation outside the passage. Chapter 1664. In front of the barrier passage of the demon's sealing secret realm. You're the one who's a coward. Yuhauran seemed to be unable to tolerate the other party's sarcasm as he suddenly flew into a rage and boasted proudly at the other end of the passage. We ignored you just now because we looked down on you. Since you're not afraid of being scared, I'll tell you now. Yuhauran raised his head and chest as he spoke with an incomparably arrogant attitude. Listen up, we're the overlords of the Tianxian continent. We're from the inheritance family of the 4 mythical beasts of the ancient era. Coward, how is it? Are you scared now? Just as the barrier passage was completely closed, the other party's response came from the other end of the passage. Hee blue dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise. Imo Jingtian will remember you. Yuhauran, what did you mean just now? After the barrier passage was completely closed, the old man in green robes asked with a gloomy expression. Senior, I was just boosting the prestige of the 4 great guardian families. Faced with the old man in green robes' question, Yuhauran immediately replied with an aggrieved expression. Is that so? The old man in white robes, who had long seen through Yuhauran's evil intentions, continued to ask with a murderous look in his eyes. Don't you want to seal the ancient god trial grounds where the ancient god clan resides? Faced with the old man in green robes and the old man in white robes who were about to turn hostile, Yuharan put away his aggrieved expression and threatened coldly. "There's no need for that." The old man in grey robes, who had always given off a gentle temperament, reminded with a cold aura emitting from his body at this moment. "Amazing, really amazing!" Yuharan praised from the bottom of his heart as he used the telepathy method to quickly contact his first doppelganger. Senior is able to understand how to set up the sun, moon, and stars formation after just one round of observation. I can't help but prostrate myself in admiration. Brother Yu, the hand seal that can quickly combine the formation flags with the secret realm is a unique secret technique created by Thaling. Just as Yuharan was praising the grey-robed old man from the bottom of his heart, the second clone in his sea of consciousness reminded him in time. Not to mention that the old man has only seen it once. Even if I hand it over to him right now, he will still be able to set up a weakened version of the Sun-Moon-Star array. Yuharan's clone's timely reminder immediately replaced the fury that had welled up in his heart with pleasant surprise. Furthermore, he had decided that he would continue to extort the other party. Junior, ever since the destruction of the ancient times, there has never been anyone who has been able to survive unscathed after threatening our 4 great guardian clans. The white-robed old man, who instantly appeared behind Yuharan and completely blocked his path of retreat, roared with a ferocious expression. "So, kid, give me your life now. Shameless old men, I'll wait. I'll wait for you to take the initiative to beg me. I'll wait for you to obediently send countless precious treasures to me." The moment the original body and the doppelganger switched places, Yuharan revealed a complacent smile on his face. What method is this? There was neither the energy fluctuation of a top-notch escape talisman nor the space law that allowed instant movement. Seeing Yuharan disappear in front of him, the white-robed old man's eyes revealed a look of disbelief. The green-robed old man and the red-robed old man also frowned as they looked at the place where Yuharan had disappeared. There was a trace of confusion in their eyes. Only the grey-robed old man's face flashed with a trace of regret. He regretted being too confident that he had already obtained the essence of the Sun-Moon-Star array and could successfully seal the ancient god trial grounds where the ancient god tribe was based on his comprehension just now. Through the method of the original body and doppelganger exchange, Yuharan instantly returned to the prince's mansion. After informing Qin Lingfei and the sword without trace that he was safe, he directly sat cross-legged in the cultivation room and then took out 2 pairs of martial sage black wings from the storage ring. His mind informed the yin-yang mysterious fire in his dantian to refine the energy in the black wings. Then, with the help of the pure energy separated from the wings, he directly upgraded his physical body to the early stage of Emperor Wu's 2nd grade and his mental cultivation to the middle stage of Emperor Wu's 1st grade. Considering that the grey-robed old man in the Black Tortoise clan not only needed to confirm the location of the array, but also needed to condense the mark connecting the array flag and the ancient god trial grounds. More importantly, he needed to discuss how to ask him to set up the Sun-Moon-Star array again after the failure of the array. In total, it would take more than an hour. Therefore, Yuharan took out the black and white wings of the martial venerable realm and continued to improve his realm and strength through the refining of the yin-yang mysterious fire. Time passed by minute by minute. After 40 minutes, the yin-yang mysterious fire had refined 24 pairs of black and white wings from the early stage of martial venerable realm to the peak of martial venerable realm. Yuharan raised his physical body, origin power, and soul power to the peak of Emperor Wu's 2nd grade. His mental cultivation also reached the peak of Emperor Wu's 2nd grade. The yin-yang mysterious fire refined the divine demon energy contained in the black and white wings. Not only was it incomparably pure, it also contained a trace of the divine demon expert's realm comprehension. If he continued to refine it, He was confident that his mental cultivation, physical body, origin power, and soul power could all be raised to the peak of Emperor Wu's 6th grade. But now, there were only 20 minutes left before the 4 demigod elders from the 4 great guardian clans arrived. He needed to continue to understand the secrets of the 4 great guardian clans from Zhongli Shui Qin and then choose a treasure to negotiate with them. Although the ancient god experts who had fled back to Xianyang City pathetically returned to the ancient god testing grounds through the secret realm's barrier passage, no one could guarantee that they would not immediately come back for a surprise attack. Therefore, Qin Lingfei and the others remained in the mansion's plaza under the white tiger statue so that they could activate the mansion's formation at any time. When he arrived in front of the white tiger statue in the plaza, Palace and Wu Jingjun, who had similar temperaments, were discussing the way of cultivation. Yu Haoran secretly heaved a sigh of relief. After all, Palace's unpredictable personality made it difficult for him to get along with others peacefully. Yu Haoran was worried that he would have disputes and conflicts with the people in the mansion. Brother Qi. After greeting him with cupped hands, Yu Haoran's gaze immediately turned towards Zhongli Shui Qin. Just as he was about to interrogate the 4 great guardian clans' secrets, Palace could not help but cry out in surprise. "How is this possible? Brother Qi, what's wrong with you?" The bloodthirsty Zhuyan bloodline and bloodthirsty physique made Palace and Wu Jingjun regret that they had not met sooner. Therefore, after a short exchange, the man and beast began to call each other brothers. Chapter 1665. Inside the prince's mansion. Signaling Wu Jingjun not to speak for the time being, Palace couldn't help but sigh with a bitter smile. "Brother Yu, the speed at which your cultivation is rising is too terrifying." As the last realm before ascending to godhood, Emperor Wu's breakthrough was like a ravine to countless creatures. Even for monstrous geniuses, it would take them hundreds or thousands of years to break through each small stage. Furthermore, they would only be able to barely make a breakthrough if they were lucky and coincidental. But what about Yu Haoran? Emperor Wu's breakthrough was as simple as drinking water. In just a few days, his mental state cultivation, physical body grade, origin energy, and soul power had all broken through a small stage. But I'm still no match for Brother Qi. As his cultivation continued to break through, Yu Haoran's ability to sense auras became stronger and stronger. At this moment, he could feel a trace of a strong and fatal threat from Palace. Without replying to Yu Haoran's sigh, Palace looked at the rich Xian Wangqi in the mansion and said with determination, "It seems that I also need to break through Emperor Wu's realm as soon as possible." Originally, Yu Haoran wanted to immediately interrogate Zhongli Shui Qin about the secrets of the 4 protector families, but after hearing Palace's decision, he couldn't help but change his expression and negotiate. "Brother Qi, can we discuss this? I can provide you with all the spirit stones and spirit veins you need to break through, but can you not break through in this mansion?" At the peak of the 8th step, 9th rank, he had terrifying strength that didn't lose to Emperor Wu's peak of the 3rd rank. This was enough to show how terrifying Palace's accumulation was and how monstrous his potential was. 7th step Zong Realm, 6th step King Realm, 5th step Emperor Realm, 4th step Saint Realm, 3rd step Exalt Realm, 2nd step Emperor Realm. With the continuous breakthrough of 6 major realms and 54 minor realms, perhaps the breakthrough of the Scarlet Loth's grade would be able to suck up all the dark and yellow energy accumulated in the mansion, which would reduce the defensive power of the mansion's formation to the lowest level. "Brother Yu, don't worry. I've already prepared all the energy needed for the breakthrough. I definitely won't destroy this magical mansion." Palace, who knew what Yu Haoran was worried about, smiled and comforted him. After looking back and forth between Yu Haoran and the Scarlet Loth, a trace of shock flashed in Zhongli Shuiqin's eyes. In the end, she made a decision. She had to bring Wu Jingjun into the clan's secret realm as soon as possible and search for an opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. Otherwise, her and Wu Jingjuan's cultivation and strength would be left further and further behind by Yu Haoran. Miss Shuiqin, in a while, the demigod experts of the 4 guardian families will come to visit. Quickly tell me what other precious treasures the guardian families have. Yu Haoran, who didn't sense Zhongli Shuiqin's thoughts, asked with anticipation in his eyes. Yu Shixiang, what do you mean? Putting aside the fact that the 4 overlord guardian families would come to visit with demigod experts at that, Yi Xian's demigod-level demigod experts at that. Even if Yu Haoran's monstrous performance had attracted the attention of the demigod experts of the guardian families, what did this have to do with the treasures the guardian families have collected? Nothing much. Those demigod-level demigods owe me, Yu Haoran, a favor. I'm afraid they'll need more precious treasures to compensate. Yu Haoran vaguely explained. Looking at Yu Haoran with a slight frown, Zhongli Shuiqin reminded him with some dissatisfaction. Yu Shixiang, didn't I already reveal some secrets of the guardian families to you a while ago? For example, the Blue Dragon family's rank 1 first-rank Azure Spirit Purple Lotus, the White Tiger family's Spirit Slaughtering Divine Sword, the Vermilion Bird family's Meteor Blaze, and the Black Tortoise family's Formation Outline. Miss Shuiqin, apart from the Vermilion Bird family's Meteor Blaze, they've already compensated me with the remaining 3 treasures. Faced with Zhongli Shuiqin's slightly displeased reminder, Yu Haoran didn't dare to continue being vague. After simply explaining the ownership of the treasures she mentioned before, he asked with a fawning expression. So, I'm sure you understand what I mean. Zhongli Shuiqin was first shocked, then puzzled. Finally, she reminded him with a wry smile. Yu Shixiang, the Blue Dragon family has the myriad drug milk and spirit ointment that were refined over thousands of years. The White Tiger family has the corpse of an ancient fierce beast that was born for slaughter and contains boundless killing intent. The Vermilion Bird family has 3 drops of ancient blood phoenix essence. The Black Tortoise family has the heavenly cycle star concentration formation that was known as the world's #1 defensive formation in ancient times. After hearing Zhongli Shuiqin's reminder, Yu Haoran thought for a moment. He felt that the Blue Dragon, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise families' 3 treasures could be obtained by sealing the ancient god trial ground. Only the Vermilion Bird family's 3 drops of ancient blood phoenix essence could not be obtained. After all, after experiencing the incident with Lin Mengyao, he was very clear about the preciousness of the ancient blood phoenix essence and what it represented to the Vermilion Bird family. Fortunately, the Vermilion Bird family still had the falling flame that could be used to upgrade the grade of the mysterious Yin Soul Fire in Qin Lingfei's body. Yu Haoran, who had already made up his mind, immediately took out a blank jade slip from his storage ring. He recorded the 3 treasures and the falling flame that Zhongli Shuiqin had just mentioned, hundreds of rank 6 and rank 5 spiritual veins, and dozens of rare rank 2 and rank 9 spiritual herbs in the jade slip. Then, he directly handed the jade slip to Wu Jingjun and instructed, Jingjun, when the demigod experts of the 4 guardian families come, you directly tell them that I, Yu Haoran, have suffered an unimaginable injury and need the treasures recorded in the jade slip to barely recover. Yes, senior brother. Although there was a trace of doubt in his eyes, Wu Jingjun did not ask anything and reached out to take the jade slip. Ling Fei Wu Hen, sister, go and rest. After Wu Jingjun took the jade slip, Yu Haoran turned his head and instructed Qin Lingfei and the others. I have already found a way to completely solve the hidden danger of the ancient god clan. Xianyang City will not be attacked in the short term. Qin Lingfei and the others were very convinced by Yu Haoran. Therefore, after hearing his instructions, they did not ask about the method to solve the hidden danger of the ancient god clan. They directly got up and left the square and returned to their respective courtyards. After Qin Lingfei and the others left the square, Yu Haoran promised Palace, Brother Qi, after I have solved the problem left behind by the ancient god clan, I will start to resolve the hidden danger in Brother Du Yuan's body. Brother Yu, thank you for your trouble. Chapter 1666. Inside the prince's mansion. After everyone in the square had left, Zhongli Shuiqin, who was originally sitting cross-legged, stood up and solemnly requested Yu Haoran. Yu Shixiang, I want to bring Xiao Jun to a very important place. I hope you can agree. Sure. For Zhongli Shuiqin to make such a solemn request, it meant that the place she mentioned was very important. It was very likely to be the Eternal Youth Prime or a secret place left behind by the Zhongli family. For Wu Jingjun to have such a fortuitous encounter, Yu Haoran would only feel happy for him. How could he possibly oppose it? Moreover, after the 5 regions hidden dragon ranking competition, he noticed that Wu Jingjuan's cultivation and strength had begun to slow down. He knew that a peaceful life of cultivation did not suit him. Therefore, Yu Haoran did not object to Zhongli Shuiqin's request, nor did he ask where she was going. He just nodded in agreement and took out some top-notch elixirs from his storage ring and gave them to her. This is a portion of the medicinal pills that can be used to heal injuries and improve one's cultivation. Just in case you need them. Thank you, Yu Shixiang. Yu Haoran's attitude of not wanting to get to the bottom of the matter made Zhongli Shuiqin secretly relieved. After reaching out to take the medicinal pill in front of her, she thanked him very gratefully. Be careful. Yu Haoran waved his hand and left the square, leaving behind his instructions and promises. If you encounter something that you can't solve, or if you feel wronged, you can send me a message. I, Yu Haoran, will definitely help you solve it. Qingyang City, located in the core region of the Central Region, was a very important city in a geographical location. Qingyang City was surrounded by Qingyang Plains to the east, Qingyang River to the west, Qingyang Mountains to the south, and Osmanthus Forest to the west that was 100,000 kilometers long. Qingyang City, with its excellent geographical location and convenient transportation, was not only one of the most prosperous cities in the Tianxian continent, but also had the reputation of being the city of desire. Brothels, casinos, arenas, restaurants, and other places where one could indulge in drunken stupor could be found everywhere in the city. The reason why Qingyang City, which was originally an ordinary city, could become the famous city of desire in the profound sky continent was because the founder and controller of Qingyang City was one of the 3 major chambers of commerce in the profound sky continent, heavenly earth. Looking at the few customers in front of the dozens of brothels and casinos in the city, as well as the slightly silent and oppressive atmosphere in the city, Yu Haoran, who was standing on a street, could not help but frown. In his previous life, his life of running around and running for his life had caused him to bear a very repressed and irritable mood. His mind had always been in an extremely tense state. Whenever he had free time, he would go to the casino and the arena to vent his frustrations. As the city of desire, he had come to Qingyang City more than once in his previous life. He had also left behind countless spirit stones and pills that he had painstakingly obtained. Therefore, he was very familiar with the prosperity and liveliness of Qingyang City. There were only 2 reasons why the casinos and brothels were so bleak. Either the Chamber of Commerce in heavenly earth was not well managed, resulting in a significant reduction in the number of customers, or the Chamber of Commerce in heavenly earth suddenly encountered an unforeseen event and transferred too many masters from the casinos and brothels, resulting in no one to take care of the business in Qingyang City. He thought of the accumulated contradictions and conflicts between the first elder Bian Xingrui and the president Wu Xiqing when the auction was held in the Right Ox City. Thinking that during the Hidden Genius List competition in the South region, Bian Longfei's confidant from the president's side had pretended to obey him but secretly opposed him, Yu Haoran was more inclined to believe that the Heavenly World Chamber of Commerce had encountered a power struggle. Thinking of this, Yu Haoran did not care about offending and being rude. He immediately mobilized the divine thoughts of Emperor Wu, who was at the peak of the 3rd level, and directly swept the entire Qingyang city. Soon, he discovered that Bian Xingrui and the others were in a dangerous situation in a huge mansion that was completely enveloped by a formation. When he saw that his first disciple Yunxiang was besieged by 9 experts at the peak of the 9th level of the martial saint realm and might die at any time, a violent killing intent emerged in his heart, and he roared at Pallas in a low voice. "Brother Qi, follow me to kill people." Okay. Killing people was Pallas's favorite sport, especially after breaking through 6 realms in a row. He just needed to consolidate and familiarize himself with the realm after breaking through. Therefore, after hearing Yu Haoran's order, Pallas immediately responded excitedly. With the help of the power of the law of speed, Yu Haoran and Pallas only spent less than a minute to arrive at the mansion completely enveloped by the formation, which was the headquarters of the Heavenly Earth Chamber of Commerce. Brother Ran, break the defense formation of the mansion as quickly as possible. Thinking that Yunxiang was besieged by 9 experts at the peak of the 9th level of the martial saint realm and could be in danger at any time, Yu Haoran anxiously ordered. However, before his second clone could use his divine sense to check the origin and grade of the defense formation, Pallas directly waved the scabbard of the immortal slaughtering sword and heavily slammed it on the defense formation of the mansion. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening roar, the defense formation of the mansion was not only directly broken, but also more than half of the buildings in the mansion were directly shaken and shattered. "Brother Yu, I'm sorry. I didn't control the power of my attack well." Looking at the countless pavilions and courtyards in the mansion that had collapsed, Pallas's face showed a trace of guilt as he expressed his apology. How could Yu Haoran care that he could directly break the defense formation of the mansion so that he could quickly rescue his disciple? Moreover, Pallas had not had the time to stabilize his cultivation after breaking through before he was forcefully brought to the Green Sun City. He had no reason to blame Pallas for not being able to control his power. Therefore, Yu Haoran rushed to the backyard of the mansion in a flash as he waved his hand and said, "Brother Qi, the people who are at an absolute disadvantage are my disciple and friend. Therefore, it's fine even if you directly tear down the entire mansion." Because he had suffered a fatal injury, Bian Xingrui, who was unable to continue fighting, could only lean against the wall and sit. After seeing that Yunxiang, who was only at the early 1st level of the martial monarch realm, was completely cornered by 9 experts at the peak of the 9th level of the martial saint realm, he anxiously ordered, "Xiang immediately use a top-notch escape talisman to leave the Green Sun City and seek refuge with your master. Uncle Bian, Xiang mother is already dead. The president and the elders have already betrayed the Chamber of Commerce." She reached out and wiped away the blood that had just flowed from the corner of her mouth. Then, she used her yuan qi to shake the few drops of blood into a blood mist and directly pushed it towards her opponents who were besieging her. Taking advantage of the fact that the 9 martial saints were wary of the soul-devouring ghost poison contained in the blood, Yunxiang shook her head with tears in her eyes and refused to escape by herself. Chapter 1667. Qingyang City, in the mansion of the Chamber of Commerce. When Bian Xingrui saw that Yunxiang, who could be killed at any moment, not only did she not listen to his orders to escape, she even tried to save him. This caused Bian Xingrui, who clearly understood how dangerous the situation was, to involuntarily reprimand her. "Xiang your Uncle Bian's meridians are all broken, and his dantian and sea of consciousness are about to collapse. It can be said that I am a waste who is about to die. Why are you risking your life to save a waste?" After hearing Bian Xingrui's angry rebuke, Yunxiang's eyes could not help but slightly redden. However, her reluctance to leave her family and her resentment toward the people of the Chamber of Commerce made her not use the top escape talisman in the end. Instead, she took out a third-grade first-grade bloodthirsty body explosion pill that she had accidentally obtained some time ago. The bloodthirsty body explosion pill was a famous pill in the Devil Tao. According to the grade of the pill, it could increase the strength of the person who took it. The third-grade first-grade bloodthirsty body explosion pill could let Yunxiang, who was an early first-grade martial king, instantly gain the strength of an early first-grade martial saint. However, when the effect of the bloodthirsty body explosion pill was over, the side effects of the pill would cause all the meridians in Yunxiang's body to break, and her dantian and sea of consciousness would completely collapse. She would be reduced to a waste who could never cultivate. Yunxiang, although the courage to use the bloodthirsty body explosion pill is commendable, you have Master's support. You don't have to risk your life like this. When Yunxiang planned to take the bloodthirsty body explosion pill to increase her cultivation and strength, and when Bian Xingrui closed his eyes in despair and sorrow, Yu Haoran's teasing voice suddenly sounded in the living room. Master! After hearing Yu Haoran's teasing voice, Yunxiang, who immediately put away the bloodthirsty body explosion pill, shouted in surprise. Bian Xingrui, who had closed his eyes, was even more spirited. He quickly opened his eyes, and an unbelievable ecstasy appeared in them. Boom! Accompanied by Yu Haoran's teasing voice, the purple-blue profound iron door of the living room was directly smashed by a violent force. Bang! The 9-peak 9th-grade martial saints who had been besieging Yunxiang instantly collapsed to the ground, their auras completely gone. The 5 white-haired old men who were sitting cross-legged in the hall suddenly stood up. They looked at the tall and strong beast that appeared in the hall. It had an extremely ugly appearance, and was holding a sword with a scabbard. A trace of fear appeared in their eyes. However, when a handsome young man in a dark blue robe walked into the hall with a faint sneer on his face, the 5 white-haired old men instantly turned pale. Master! Seeing Yu Haoran appear in the hall, Yunxiang, who felt wronged, sad, surprised, and many other complicated emotions, immediately burst into tears and threw herself into his arms. Seeing his disciple lose control of her emotions and feeling the elemental energy in her body that had completely dried up, Yu Haoran patted her shoulder gently, giving her silent comfort. At the same time, she also secretly shattered a pill that was used to recover her strength, using the pill to help her recover the elemental energy and soul force she had expended. Whoever dares to move, I will immediately take his life. When using the pill to help Yunxiang recover the elemental energy and soul force she had expended, Yu Haoran keenly detected a trace of soul force fluctuation. His eyes were as cold as frost as he looked at the 30 or so experts who had participated in besieging Yunxiang and Bian Xingrui in the hall and threatened. Yu Haoran's threatening voice made Yunxiang quickly recover from her uncontrollable emotions. She immediately thought of Uncle Bian, who was dying, and hurriedly got out of his arms and pleaded. Master, quickly save Uncle Bian, he is dying. Don't worry. Yu Haoran reached out to tidy up the scattered hair on Yunxiang's forehead and promised with a light smile. Even if Elder Bian's soul is now scattered, as long as his body is still there, your master I have a way to save him again. Although there was Yu Haoran's solemn guarantee, Yunxiang, who was not completely relieved, directly pulled his arm to Bian Xingrui. Elder Bian, what the hell is going on? Taking out 2 top pills used to restore the dantian and sea of consciousness, and taking the initiative to take them for Bian Xingrui, Yu Haoran asked with some puzzlement. Occupying the prominent position of the first elder, after decades of painstaking management, Bian Xingrui had basically controlled nearly half of the power and wealth of the Heavenly Earth Chamber of Commerce. The 2 auctions held in Guangling City and Right Ox City that were enough to go down in history not only allowed him to gain the support of more people in the Chamber of Commerce, but also let his prestige and power surpass Wu Xiqing. With such an obvious advantage, with Bian Xingrui's shrewdness and prudence, it was not a problem to completely replace Wu Xiqing. How could the final result be so embarrassing? He even almost dragged down the safety of his disciple. With the eruption of the top pills, the Dantian and Sea of Consciousness that were about to collapse quickly stabilized, and finally saved the hope of a comeback in the future. Bian Xingrui's eyes showed strong hatred as he explained. Betraying his master for glory was the fundamental reason why Bian Xingrui, who had a great advantage, finally failed. It turned out that since the end of the auction in Right Ox City, Bian Xingrui, who had made a decision in his heart, accelerated the pace of controlling the heavenly earth chamber of commerce. Wu Xiqing, who felt the crisis, knew that he could not resist Bian Xingrui's pressure step by step, secretly contacted the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, the mortal enemy of the Heavenly Earth Chamber of Commerce, and then reached an agreement with the Yushu Temple through the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. It was also because of the help of the powerful experts of the Yushu Temple's Emperor Wu's realm that Bian Xingrui lost so miserably in the end. Elder Bian, as the richest chamber of commerce in the Tianxian continent, with a history of tens of thousands of years, didn't you secretly cultivate the experts of the Martial Venerable and Emperor Wu's realm? The four guardian families used to sneak attack the ancient god and demon clans, and they could draw more than 500 powerful experts of the Emperor Wu's realm in a short time. He did not believe that the Heavenly Earth Chamber of Commerce, with its amazing wealth, could not cultivate a few experts of the Martial Venerable, Emperor Wu's realm and Emperor Wu's realm. 17 peerless experts of the peak of the 9th grade Martial Venerable, 9 powerful experts of the Emperor Wu's realm from the 1st to the 3rd calamity, and 1 old ancestor of the Emperor Wu's realm. Nodding, Bian Xingrui introduced the foundation of the Heavenly Earth Chamber of Commerce in detail. In that case, why did you end up in such a sorry state? Yu Haoran asked with his eyebrows tightly knitted. As long as there were powerful experts of the Emperor Wu's realm, even if they could not deal with the stronger experts of the Yushu Temple, they could at least take him and Yunxiang out of Qingyang City smoothly, and then go directly to him. Poison, sneak attack. Shaking his head with a trace of sadness and helplessness in his eyes, Bian Xingrui explained with a bitter smile. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.